we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How y'all doing? Hope you had a great weekend. Dave Scott here, and it is nice and warm outside the studios here. And we are loving it that we're kicking off another week with Lon Strickler and Strange Days. Before we bring in Lon and Dirty Filth for the cartoon of the night, let's say hello to everyone in our chat room so far. Race Fan back in the gold medal position. Awesome Man Palmer with a silver. Roy Boy taking home the bronze. And we move on here. And there's somebody who's got a bunch of hieroglyphics as a name. Hello. Welcome to SOR Chat. Human Carl is here. Hi, Human Carl. Welcome to the show. We love you. One of our great veterans who listens to this show. Davy Jones Locker, good to see you. Thank you for coming on in. As we continue on with the roll call, Big Dog, thank you for joining us. Lovely Vixen Doe, welcome back. And Simon in Australia, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight and this week. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Stunning Samantha Hazelwood Gray, John Hinoyosa, how are you guys? Thank you for coming on in. And there's sweet Penny Van. Penny Van will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Let's move on here. Dirty Filth is in the chat room. Lovely Laura, thank you for coming on in. Brown Dwarf, good to see you. The gorgeous Kathy Evans, welcome back. And there's the lovely Aunt Edna. Thank you for joining us. D. Cohen, Michael Fontaine, our man Millennium, Doc from Wyoming. Good to see you all. Evan Walters, thanks for coming on in. Lakota Colbert, welcome to SOR Chat. Kevin, good to see you. And who else do we have in the chat room tonight? Well, there's Ozzy. Oi, oi to you. And Ozzy will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, to the right of the studio. Vincent Richardson, good to see you. Lovely Lisa Compton, welcome back. And here we go, continuing with roll call. There's Uncle Dale and his power stash. Remember, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you see Uncle Dale, he'll give you good luck if you rub his power stash right through the 4th of July. Paradox Fossils, good to see you. And thank you for coming on in. Hi, Alien Critter. And thank you, D. Cohen, for that awesome super chat. Very much appreciate your love of SOR, my man. Thank you for joining us. Dennis Zuniga, another great veteran who listens to this show. Thank you for your service. And who else we have? Another great veteran, the Marine Black Dragon. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Really appreciate you and your service. Mama Susan, Grandpa Holland, thank you for coming on in. The gorgeous Dizzy Me has returned. And there's Mennonite Abe. Thanks for joining us, my man. And Downshift, good to see you. The gorgeous Manitoba Becky has returned. They call her the Wheat Queen in Brandon. Yes, they do. And who else do we have here? Well, let's take a look. Be More Dan, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And Ruger Ridge, Chris. You're looking lovely tonight. And Digger Dog, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Michael Fontaine, Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, the gorgeous Aussie Ange, the lovely Jenny Whitebear. Good to have you all here. Margie O, looking gorgeous tonight. And who else is joining us? Andy Jones is looking gorgeous tonight as well. And let's see here. Who else we got? I think I got all them. And scroll on down. There's the Gong Show. Video game player. Nice to have you here, my man. And let's see here. Well, let's see. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Gorgeous Doris, how are you? Holly, how you doing, man? Flat Rock, nice to see you. Glenn Dannison, the awesome Annie Svensson, good to have you all here. The gorgeous Cryptid Huntress, nice to see you tonight. And lovely Donna Spencer has returned as well. There's Anonymous Rex, a.k.a. Tim Senor. He'll be back later for the UFO report. And Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Thank you, Mennonite Abe, for that wonderful super chat, my friend. Really appreciate that. Can't wait to see you in Vegas next year. And we got about 10 seconds left. If I missed you, like Go 66, I will get to you. But first, horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, we welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight outside of my scratching of every mosquito in the caribou that has bitten me recently. Lon Strickler is here for The Strange Days that continues on to be a monthly show here. He's from phantomsandmonsters.com. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. The Swamp Dweller has another spooky story for us. Tim Senor will join us for the UFO report, and Shirky Poo will have the news. Now, Lon Strickler is a very good friend of this show, just an amazing dude who has a great website called phantomsandmonsters.com, where every day he gets reports from around North America and the world about the monsters among us. He began his blog in 2005, and it's steadily grown in popularity by tens of thousands of paranormal enthusiasts, investigators, and people who are just junkies on this topic, who are all seeking the truth. His research and reports have been featured in hundreds of online media sources, on television shows, every type of blog, podcast, YouTube channel around. He's born in Pennsylvania. He's psychic. He's intuitive. He's a great author. You can find all of his books on Amazon. Let's welcome him in, our good friend to Spaced Out Radio, Lon Strickler. It is always a pleasure to have you here, my man. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, Dave. Thanks for having me.
I tell you, man, I'm melting today.
Oh,
melting. Yeah, it hit the mid-80s here. Hit the mid-80s. And I'm telling you, I don't feel sorry for any of you in the hundreds right now, because let me tell you, the 80s up here where I live, that's hot. Real hot.
Oh, yeah, I know. I used to live in Canada, so I know. It's been steady 90, around the 90-degree mark here, but I mean Fahrenheit. But it's been hot early. I just hope it doesn't get too bad this year.
Well, you know what? The beautiful part about it is right now is we're going to have some warm weather here. It's going to be mixed with rain, because if our audience remembers from 1 year ago today, my entire area south of me was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Including losing an entire town called Lytton, where 95% of the town burnt down in under 20 minutes. I mean, that was absolutely incredible, man. And
yeah,
Yeah, to this day, Lon, you can't, like, if you drive into the canyon to where Lytton is located, they have it all fenced off. Like, you can't even see it look down from the highway. I mean, they have it all fenced off as they look to rebuild and everything like that. But man, you know what? It was pouring rain the other day here, and I had I was in this one store and I'm checking on out, and this lady's like, "Man, how can you handle all this rain?" You know, and I said, "Ma'am, better than 1 year ago." And she immediately took a step back and she's like, "Yep, you're right." You know, that's how quick we turn. Nobody complains about the rain where we are now, my man.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand completely.
Well, let's face it. Summer is now in gear, where you have one full quarter of spring out of the way. How's the search for the monsters going so far here through the spring and now into summer?
It's been pretty busy. Pennsylvania's been exceptionally busy. You know, it's interesting. When our buddy Butch is around, we weren't getting the reports, you know, but all of a sudden, since he's passed, it's getting crazy here in Pennsylvania. I'm working on a particular case. Well, we've got actually two, and then a couple of people I worked with have got others, all Dogman upright canines. So yeah, we're keeping busy.
I want to ask you if you have been following this story out of Montana, where that little boy about 3 weeks ago went missing on a Friday. He was found on a Sunday, 2.5 miles from his home. And if you saw the picture of his eyes and a normal picture of him beside it and compared, do you know the story I'm talking about?
I don't. I really don't.
Well, I'm going to ask you about it just to get your opinion here,
Okay.
because if you recall that story just after Christmas time a couple of years ago about that little 2-year-old in North Carolina that went missing and apparently was living, a teddy bear took care of him, you know,
Yeah.
and then the place where he was found, that area had already been searched 4 or 5 times, and he was stuck in the middle of a briar patch, which obviously, 2 things to go with that. Number one, a bear, when it wakes up from hibernation, is not a happy bear that's going to take care of a little boy. Number one. But number two, finding that boy inside a briar patch, well, that's where animals go to escape from predators. Because
Exactly.
predators don't go in there. Well, it was very, very similar in Montana, where this little boy, 4 years old, playing with his dog in the backyard, and then goes missing for a weekend. The boy is found hungry, thirsty, a little cold, but nothing wrong with him. He was found in a unmarked cabin, and nothing to show that anything human took place. He never said that we're still waiting for information on this, but apparently he was just fine. Gone for 2 days, right from his yard. Does that not sound a little familiar to the North Carolina story to you?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, these supposed Bigfoot abduction stories are actually, there are more of them than people realize. You know, I have talked to several search and rescue people, especially up in Northern California, that have several stories like this that just don't get out in the public. And you know, a kid will go missing, and kid will turn up a couple days later or a week later, perfectly fine, and they'll come up with a very similar story that a big hairy man or something rescued me or took me to his to where he lived at and took care of me and fed me and this and that. And yeah, I think it happens, and I think it does happen. And I think that story in North Carolina in particular, just because the area where it occurred at was an area well known for Bigfoot activity. And I think that's what actually happened.
You mentioned that this seems to happen a lot more than what we're actually hearing right now. Is it because it's happening with adults or other people rather than just children?
You know, I don't hear so much about adults. It's usually with kids, and but as far as adults, I can't remember one that I know of, other than some older stories that supposed abduction was occurred with an adult. It's mostly kids, and it's usually boys.
Why is that?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I have no idea, but I know who three different ones that I've been told by search and rescue people, and of course the one in North Carolina, and there was another one down in Virginia years ago. So yeah, it happens.
Okay, so let me ask you this about this. What would, and granted, we don't know what goes through these creatures' heart, or even if creatures are involved.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think the biggest clue we have is the young boy in North Carolina saying that he was with, a teddy bear for a couple of days,
Mhm.
and the teddy bear took care of him. Now, we look at these monsters as monsters. They're going to rip us apart. They're going to eat us. They're going to ravage us. They're going to tear our limbs off limb by limb. We don't give them a lot of credit for actually maybe having a heart and a soul. Yet
Mhm.
you're mentioning that this seems to happen a lot more frequently than what we currently know. I mean, that would really show that these creatures must be worried or overly curious of a child in order to take them. Is that the proper word?
I don't know. It seems to occur in areas where they're very comfortable, places where they actually have a pretty wide range, but it's where they actually live at. Um, as far as what they're thinking, it's hard to tell. Do they see a child get that instinct to something, some type of hominid that's younger and defenseless, maybe needs needs help in their mind. I think maybe that nurturing emotion opens up somehow.
It just baffles me. It
Yeah.
baffles me, because it kind of goes against the grain, Lon.
Hmm.
Goes against the grain of what we know and what we're supposed to know or what we're supposed to think about the monsters that walk among us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like calling a monster, to be honest with you. I think they're from what I've gathered over the years, and of course I had my encounter too, and I would never really felt threatened by it. Uh, I think they're more like us than actual other primates. There's something human about them. I'm pretty sure. I think there is something human about them. Now, if they're an ultra terrestrial and they're not, if many of them are, I don't think many of them are indigenous. I still think they have traits very close to ours. They observe us. Maybe they think, they try to mimic what we do. So, yeah, I think they're a lot more like us than what we give them credit for.
Well, let's get back to Pennsylvania here because you said it's been a very active few weeks since we talked to you last. What's
Mhm.
been active about it?
Now, big, more been to the upright canine dogman encounters. Um, it's interesting. We got a report that we're working on, and it's pretty credible in an area where Butch used to have his research area.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't even know if Butch still had cameras up there. I've got to get a hold of the. There was a ranger there that he was working with, and I haven't been able to get in contact with him. But it is a specific area that Butch used to work, and in fact, it's only a matter of miles just down the road from him. But it's been known for a lot of weird activity, and that's why he was working that area. And we've had pale humanoid sightings in there, but mostly it's been like of this possible Dogman upright canine sighting, and the sighting that we did get, it's pretty unusual because this thing was up in a tree. It actually seemed like it was hunting up in a tree, and it was huge. It wasn't your real muscular stereotypical upright canine or Dogman. It was somewhat spry, but it had the canine features to it. But the witness described it as moving about like that of a praying mantis.
Really?
That it was jumping 50, 60 feet from the trees and bouncing around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But he saw it from he was actually on the other side of a small quarry that's up there. And he got a pretty good look at it. And he has put some sketches out for it. But it's pretty bizarre looking. It reminds me of an upright, very emaciated looking hyena with long feet with very large talons and large hands with very large talons. Kind of a brownish coat on it, very short hair, and but has the canine face, but a muzzle that's kind of smaller than a regular dog would be. So it's interesting, and we've got people in there going in there and talking to him and going in there and look. So
great. So now what you're saying is we have 8-foot pugs walking around in the forest.
Yeah, you can say that. That's a good description. I don't think his nose was that small, but it was. It's an interesting looking creature, but I think if it's kind of put in a situation where it is feared, I mean, it gets fearful, it'll probably lash out. It seemed, from what I was told, that it was very aggressive. It was an aggressive type being. So, but as we go, we'll get more information. And in fact, we have a show this Friday night where we're going to be talking about the Dogman upright canine phenomenon in Pennsylvania. So, yeah, we're going to be getting in deeper with it, and we're not going to say a whole lot since we're still in the middle of the investigation. But there have been other sightings as well, and all throughout the state. So I don't know why all of a sudden, but it has started to get busy, and we'll see what shakes out. But it's been a pretty busy summer or spring for cryptid canines.
Well, I mean, if the spirit of Butch Witkowski has anything to do with it, that's not surprising.
Yeah,
because he's going to try and force their hand on the other side.
Yeah, he is. He will. And I have no doubt Butch is around, and he'll be involved in any way he can. So I have no doubt of that.
Well, make sure, that when you get an opportunity to listen to this show, listen right to the end when we play the final music, because I was able to track down his final words to me, and I put them right at the end on the musical outro that we use.
Great.
And every night I get to feel a little warm with Mr. B there,
Yep.
It's been 6 months now since we lost Butch, and I don't know for you, but for me, it hasn't got any easier. And no offense to you taking over Strange Days, but I keep thinking on that Strange Days nights that, God, I got to call Butch and make sure he's ready to go. And how's his family doing? Have you talked to his family, or have they kind of gone silent from the cryptid world?
They have kind of gone silent. I have tried to reach out a bit, but I think it's still too early. And I understand.
Me too.
So, I don't try to push things like this. We lose people all the time. I mean, Butch was the second investigator we've lost since we had the group, and it's hard. And when you're dealing with the family, you just, I never know how involved that the family or the spouse was with what they actually did as far as investigations. I take what they give me, and if they have questions, I'm always there to answer it. But and look, I'd rather have Butch here than me doing this any day. I mean, I love Butch to be around here. I miss him all the time.
So,
we talked almost every other day, and something would come up, we'd be on the horn. So yeah, it's different. It's kind of given me more responsibility with the team as far as we had to designate it. I've had three investigators join us in Pennsylvania to make up for Butch. So that goes to tell you how much he was doing.
who has filled into that void?
We've got James West out in Western Pennsylvania, Ryan Cavallini up in the North Central Pennsylvania. And we have a few other people under consideration, but Eric Mintel of Bucks County Paranormal, who has been helping me and stepping in with cases out the eastern part of the state. And people stepped up. So I've got Tommy Carroll and Bernadette out in Somerset. They're working as well. So yeah, we've added some people from Pennsylvania.
Good. For this area that Butch was investigating, as we got about 2 minutes to go, he called it the Lycan Loop. Yeah. And that area, what made it so special for the high strangeness that was going on there?
Well, when we started getting the reports coming in Butch and I started working together around 2013. And when we really started going deep into the Dogman upright canine phenomenon, we were getting the reports, and we were looking over older reports as well, but they were kind of concentrated in the central Pennsylvania area. But it was a kind of like an oval, and I called it the loop, the Lycan Loop, that extended from the Allegheny National Forest up in the northwest of the state, and it kind of went southwest down into Lancaster and York County. So it's a pretty good distance. It's about a 250-mile distance. But in that area, it's kind of concentrated mostly in certain counties in the central part of the state. So why that is, we really haven't figured that out. But it seems to be because there's cover there. There are a lot of state game lands. Pennsylvania has a lot of state game lands, and many of these reports come out of there. These game lands, and a lot of state parks as well. So, and we were looking over 150 years worth of reports, and other than the odd flap that would be concentrated in another area, most of them were coming from the central part of the state.
Now, you mentioned that the reports of these bipedal canines are on the increase. And when we return, I want to get into that just a little bit here, because it is reminiscent of a lot that we talked about, but we got a lot of monsters to talk about. You have had at phantomsandmonsters.com some incredible sightings and reports recently, not only from recent times, but from the past decades as well. And we're going to get into a few of these with our good friend from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon Strickler is here, his website. Once again, phantomsandmonsters.com. You can find any of his books that you wish by going to amazon.com. Let's get into it. Let's get creepy and scary when we return on Spaced Out Radio for the second half hour. All right, we're clear? That was a quick half hour, man.
Yep.
Damn good stuff. Damn good stuff. Oh, hello, gorgeous Lala Bright. Thank you for that super sticker. Very much appreciate it. Jeez, I know you're intuitive, my friend. If you ever get an opportunity, get a reading from Lala. There, she is way too in tune, eerily in tune. Eerily in tune. What you drawing there, Dirty Filth? Gonna give us a little tease here or what?
Well, Dave, you're going to have to stay to the end of the show to find out.
Well, I'm normally here at the end to find out. Then you, right when I haven't even had a good look at it, you pull it away and you're gone for the night. You disappear just as fast as a stinky fart in the wind.
That's my little bit of Sasquatch in me, I guess. It's a creature in the swamp somewhere so far.
Nice. Can I ask a favor? If I am involved in this and there is a monster involved, can you put a piano key tie on to remind us of Cherry Pepsi Mike in the chat room?
I'll have to do that in the next one.
All right. Because Cherry Pepsi Mike, he's like a monster all to his own. See, Science Bob is in the chat room. Hi, Science Bob. How you doing, buddy? Well, let's see here. Yes, Filthy just gave Dave a smack to the face for that one. Hi, Christine. My weekend was great. I spent most of my weekend outside working on my yard. I tore down a fence, which totally change the look of my yard, which was kind of cool. And what else did I do? Hi, little Deborah. Hi there, Derek. How you doing, buddy? What else did I do? I did some gardening, and I worked. And what else did I do? I got halfway through my speech for Denver, or my PowerPoint presentation. I'm halfway done, and so I'm moving on up. Got about figure out another halfway. I'll be speaking at the MUFON Symposium, July 8th through 10th in Denver, Colorado. It's going to be very, very cool. I did use my new lawnmower, Simon. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's right. Sexy Randy Quaid. Sexy Randy Quaid, Cherry Pepsi Mike. No, I didn't get out in the forest this weekend. Yeah, so if you're in Denver, Colorado, or surrounding areas, come see me the weekend of July 8th through 10th. Any fan of this show that shows up there and you come in and you use tonight's password, which I don't know what it is, tonight's password, if you come in and meet me in Denver using tonight's password, I will buy you an SOR t-shirt. How about that? You got to come see me in Denver. We got about a minute, Lon.
Okay.
Isn't Lon's beard looking beautiful tonight? Very thick and luscious. I just trimmed mine down last night. Roy Boy, I will ask that in hour 2. I've marked it, so we're all good there. All right, hey, Terry Hall, how you doing, buddy? A big thank you tonight to Simon, D. Cohen, Mennonite Abe, Cat Chaser, Sally, Science Bob and Lala for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hi, Tombstone. Hi, gorgeous Nikki in Seattle. How are you? And I think we're caught up on people. And if we got 203 listening in, come into our chat room and say hello. Let us know where you're from. We always like to learn that. Tyler Howell, how you doing, buddy? Here we go, everyone. Second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in around the world. And we want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with our good friend Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. He comes in once a month for Strange Days, where we talk everything about these weird creatures people are seeing. And right before the break, we were talking about these bipedal canines that Butch Witkowski was following for the last number of years in the Lycan Loop in central Pennsylvania. And there seems to be an uptick of these sightings, including one that looks like a pug. A pug. I mean, Lon, does anything surprise you anymore with these reports?
No, I'll be honest, it doesn't. Yeah, some of the descriptions we get and characteristics of these sightings is pretty wild, but this one in particular is a little different than a lot different than most of what we get. So hopefully we'll get some eyes on it and get some evidence of it. But we have the area scouted out now, so it's just a matter of getting boots on the ground again to maybe catch a glimpse of this. But we got some decent people looking into it, so hopefully we'll find it.
I gotta ask you said something that just piqued my interest in the last half hour, that you're not sure if Butch Witkowski still has trail cameras out in the Lycan Loop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the majority, if he does, that the majority of them are just gone until somebody stumbles upon them?
I don't know. In the area where he put them at, from what I understand, it's pretty safe. But I don't know. This guy who was supposedly looking after it for him, I haven't been able to get a hold of him, and I don't know what the deal is. Maybe as we look into this new case more in depth, maybe we will find out what the deal is with them. But no, it's an area he was definitely working at.
Oh man. Well, let's head over to your website, which is phantomsandmonsters.com. And we ask everybody out there listening in, put this on your favorites list if you like monsters and reports. Now, you received a report earlier today of a Dogman in the upper Midwest.
Yeah.
What's happening here, my friend?
Well, these are actually old cases that have been going on for the past decade or so, and most of the more early sightings that we had gotten, of course, people are very, very cognizant of the Beast of Bray Road in southern Wisconsin, but there have been other sightings of different types of cryptid canines, in particularly Wisconsin and in Michigan. Of course, there was the Michigan Dogman supposed phenomena, which turned turned out to be basically a fake. That was the Gable film. That was kind of debunked back in 2009, but it kind of got everybody's hopes up that maybe there's something was actually seen. But despite that, being proven to be a fake, there have been other sightings, and from a lot of people who just really knew nothing about the Gable film. But up in the peninsula, we get a lot of sightings up there, and all throughout Wisconsin, there have been sightings, of course, down in south central Wisconsin as well. So that's kind of been a hot spot for several decades.
The idea that this Dogman creature continues to be seen and can run on all fours or run on two legs and at the same time emit this almost subconscious fear in people, almost like a telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
This still, as much as we talk about it, blows me away, Lon. Have you had a lot of reports with Dogman from people who have had these so-called telepathic messages from this creature?
Yeah, I have. I mean, people who walk up to these things by accident, of course, and are startled by it, have even people that have been armed hunters and such have gotten to this impression. Is it mind speak? I don't know, but it's something. Infrasound, I don't know what it is, but they've been given a message basically just to be calm and back away. And I can't say that it doesn't, it alleviates the fear, but it heightens their awareness. And for the most part, they don't do anything. And in fact, the sizes of these creatures that have been reported, and I'm talking about 9 to 10 foot in height and really muscular beings. Taking a shotgun and taking a crack at one of these things with a shotgun is kind of, I think it's futile. If they're supernatural, who knows what's going to happen if they get shot. So, but yeah, I mean, people have been talking for years about about Bigfoot and other cryptids being able to communicate with witnesses to kind of put them off guard and for them to get away or to. And sometimes people just forget what they see and it comes back to them later. So I think there is some type of psychological aspect to these beings, and even happened with the Chicago Mothman sightings. We have people who have gone through the same thing. They do have fear, they do have trepidation, but many times when they get close enough, it's like this thing has a grip on them, and but it's something we run across a lot when we talk to people.
No, I get that, and I can appreciate that. You bring up a good point. The Mothman has said to be delivering telepathic messages. You got the Dogman who gives these telepathic messages. You get people who say Sasquatch does as well. How do you think these creatures are able to get into our minds this way?
I don't know. I mean, are they intuitive, or are they? I don't know. I that's something we haven't been able to figure out. But whatever they do leaves an impression. And I had my two encounters, and I mean, it's something I'm never going to forget. Though I don't think either one of them used some type of connection with me as far as psychically or using some type of ESPN mind speak or anything like that. I never experienced that. But I got way too many people who say they have. So, I think there's something to it.
Is it, in your opinion, a defense mechanism, an offensive mechanism? Or when they drop this mind speak, is that their way of forewarning us, that they can be dangerous and it's best to stay away? What's your opinion on this?
I think it depends on the situation. If they feel threatened, but though they won't back down for the most part, I think it's a defense mechanism. But I think also it's used to warn not to do anything as well. So it could work on different levels.
And one of the things about cryptids that a lot of us are trying to figure out, maybe yourself included, is there's a lot of three-toed prints being found lately.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is causing these three-toed prints that look like a giant bird, but they got a heel on them, not another back claw, a heel on them? What's going on here with these three-toed prints?
Yeah, we've seen those before. The one that I instinctively know of or personally know of is an habituation that I was involved with in Nova Scotia several years ago, where a farmer had reported that he was having and seeing several Bigfoot, even family groups on his property throughout the year. And he was also reporting a lot of UFO activity, to the point where he actually had seen a circular circular type of craft descend down in the field across from his house. And this creature stepped out of it. And when he went to look at the prints in the ground, it had like a turkey foot, the three long toes on it, and no spur, but it had like a heel to it. We haven't been able to figure that out. It's interesting as well. We had something similar in Chicago with one of the sightings in South Chicago, where one of those prints showed up as well. So was it involved with the Chicago Mothman or the winged humanoid? Possibly. But they do turn up occasionally.
How come they seem to happen in areas where other cryptids are being found? Like, for instance, you could be in an area where there's Sasquatch prints, and all of a sudden you'll find one of these three-toed prints. I mean, do we look at it as maybe a deformity? Do we look at it as something else?
I think it's a multitude of creatures coming through a portal that's nearby. My thoughts.
Let's go in depth on this.
Yeah, you know my thoughts on the cryptids for the most part is I think they're ultra-terrestrials. I think they're interdimensional beings. Of course, there are areas where they're indigenous, like in your neck of the woods and down in Florida and other areas. But I think for the most part, when we do see these creatures, they're usually a singular sighting of just one, and they seem to be able to move about so quickly, that are so stealthily that you just can't keep track of them. Do they disappear? Do they go back into a portal? Who knows? But with our investigations with these upright canines here in Pennsylvania, and with the Chicago Mothman sightings, we definitely feel that we're dealing with portals, and that these cryptids have the abilities to move in and out of another dimension, a linear dimension to our dimension, our Earth plane, and very seamlessly able to do that. I think Bigfoot, the same thing. I think most cryptids that we do see or report have some type of ability like this, or have some type of cloaking abilities that we just don't quite understand. But the fact that people see these beings on a pretty consistent basis, and there's no real physical evidence to speak of, let alone a body, I tend to believe that there's other explanations for it.
As far as clues that we are getting for a lot of these creatures, what kind of clues are you hearing that are being left behind outside of footprints right now?
That's about it, really. Um, you know, it's basically on anecdotal evidence by witnesses, sight, uh, audible evidence. Um, that's really what all we have to work on. Occasionally, we might get a photograph, a questionable photograph, but a photograph nonetheless, as to some type of evidence of a sighting. But of course, photographs are very questionable unless you're standing right up in front of this thing. And we don't get the Patties or the Freeman photos or videos all the time. We it's more of a hit and miss thing. But the anecdotal evidence and the stories themselves, the encounter reports, they offer a lot into what's really going on. I really do take a lot into account when we have an experiencer and their reactions and the way they explain what they've gone through. A lot of times when you do get a report and it's something, it's just ridiculous maybe, and you can kind of separate the wheat from the chaff with reports. I mean, after we've been doing it this long, and I've got some good investigators on the team, and they're pretty savvy. So sure, we're all going to get crazy reports that are just ridiculous, but sometimes you do get that certain report that just sounds nuts, and you're on the phone and think, oh my God, what the hell did I get myself into this time? But as time goes on, you start digging deeper and digging deeper, and their stories don't become embellished. And there's normally some other recall. It's not to the point where it just keeps piling on, but there is some recall of small details. Yeah, I mean, I think that's our best evidence at this point. The witnesses themselves. And, that goes for any part of the paranormal: UFOs, cryptids, aliens, hauntings. I mean, it's not always easy to get physical evidence, almost impossible to get cryptid physical evidence. But the footprints and the anecdotal evidence, maybe audio evidence, possibly photographic evidence, is all we got at this point.
Does it bother you that after all this time, there isn't more?
It doesn't bother me. Do I like to keep the mystery of it intact? Yeah, maybe to a bit. Maybe I'm hoping there will never be anything that comes forward to really prove on this. But though that's what we seek anyway. That's what we strive for. I mean, if that day ever does come to where we can actually say, "Wow, we were right all along," or we were entirely, it was entirely different phenomenon than what we consider, what we thought it was. Sure, I don't have a problem with that, but I like the mystery of it myself.
What are the repercussions that happen? Because it will start a springboard.
Mm-hmm.
If by chance, Lon, one of these creatures is found and proven to have existence.
Well, I think people who are involved with this, say there's a Bigfoot that's actually found, a body found, or maybe even a live creature. I think the people who have been involved with the investigations from the very beginning, or for a long period of time, do have a responsibility to make sure that these creatures are protected and not a bunch of yahoos are going out there trying to get their own body. I mean, if it is proven, I think, going to increase the desire for people to say, hey, they are real, so let's go out and get one for ourselves. And I hope that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, with human nature, that's probably what would happen. So, yeah, there would need to be some type of conservation involved, and government would have to probably get involved on different levels. And I think that is what would probably happen if there is proof that something like this does exist.
In what way, though? Like, how would it affect not what we do, but just in general, the environment, the how we investigate? You know, how much more cruel does humanity come now that, let's say, a Dogman or Sasquatch has been found and proven in existence?
I actually think there'll be less people in the woods if they know for sure it's out there. And if they are out there, they're not going to be out there all drunked up and they're going to be very, very sober and very aware of their surroundings. I think there will be less people out there looking for it, though. My personal feeling. Because if this thing turns out to be what we think it looks like, or the descriptions that we've gotten over time, and we do come up with real physical evidence of it, yeah, I think there are going to be less people in the woods out looking for it.
Just out of fear?
Oh, yeah. I believe that.
We got 2.5 minutes to go before we got to go to break. At the top of the hour, Lon Strickler and Strange Days continues here on Spaced Out Radio. Lon, I don't think we're ever going to come across a body. And like you, in my deep, dark ways, I really don't want the creatures to be found. Yeah. I mean, I want to have my own personal experiences, not with Dogman, but with Sasquatch especially. I really do want to have that for me. Not, and I hate to sound selfish about that, but I want that for me again. But I mean, I agree with you, Lon. It changes the whole aspect of everything. But I really do believe that we're going to see more hunters going after it, more trying to go for the kill. And this creature may turn into be, from a gentle temperament to all of a sudden a violent bastard because all of a sudden he's being hunted.
I think from my experience, from what I have seen and from what other people have described, I think they can, if they are forced or cornered or made to defend themselves, it could get kind of nasty. I think they've kind of backed off for whatever reason. But I think if they are threatened, that things could turn bad.
Yeah, but Lon, all it takes, and as well as I do, all it takes is one person claiming that a Sasquatch attacked their child, and the next thing you know, the witch hunt is on.
Yeah, I guess I'm optimistic, but yeah, you're right. I mean, if there is a situation where, say, a child is hurt or proven to be abducted, and if it's an area where people are going to start rising up and have to feel they need to take it into their own hands, yeah, that could actually turn into a snowball effect, to where maybe there's a whole bunch of people out there hunting for these things. I'm optimistic that it won't, but just like the world today, you never know what's going to happen. Things change all the time, and it may actually happen this way.
Very true. Lon Strickler, Strange Days, his website, phantomsandmonsters.com. In hour number 2, we'll take questions from our audience, and we'll talk more of these strange beings that are lurking right around the corner, hiding, staring at us from the forests, from our houses, from space. Yeah. All right, we are clear, Mr. Lon. we'll turn it over to Dirty Filth. We have about 6 minutes here, my friend. Hey, Thomas Fessler from Disclosure Tonight. How you doing, buddy? Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Look at that. All right. I'll be right back, guys.
Mhm.
We got just over a minute, Vaughn.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Donnie Joe, how you doing? Joshua 420, how's it going? And who else do we have coming in here? King of Waco Mundo, how you doing? YJ Overlander, how's the heat up there, buddy? Mm-hmm. Philo Fire. Mm-hmm. Who else has come in here? All right, guys, time to place your questions for Lon. In the chat room, please put them in capital letters so that way I can make sure that Lon gets them. Good morning to you, Tony, in the UK. And I want to say a big thank you to Simon, D. Cohen, Mennonite Abe, Cat Chaser, Sally, Science Bob, and Lala for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love that you guys give this show. And if you were listening last night with Moo Woo, yeah, there is Moo Woo t-shirts and Grantavius Maximus shirts on our website now, spacedoutradio.com. So check them on out at our store. Here we go with hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do we got here? Philiopetistic. Philiopetistic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Strange Days. Joining us from phantomsandmonsters.com is Lon Strickler, and he gets literally thousands of stories each and every month about the monsters among us. Welcome back, Lon. Very much appreciate you.
Thank you, Dave.
I want to start off with a question from Roy Boy here. He is asking, Lon, what do you think of that Dogman pic that was taken outside of a Texas zoo? Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
It's unusual. I have talked to several people about it. I have read a few comments about it. I don't know what to think. Could it be something? Could it be a living being? I guess it could be. It's just an odd looking, for an upright canine, it's kind of odd looking. It's not what you normally think of as far as what one of these things would look at. But then again, what would one of these things look like? I'm thinking about what we're involved with now. We had no thoughts of something looking like that. So could it be an actual being? Yeah, sure.
One thing that kind of tripped me out about it, to be absolutely blunt, was the hind legs. To me, it looked like pants.
It did.
And that's what has me confused.
Maybe some of them wear pants. I don't know. Is it a werewolf? Stereotypical werewolf? Maybe. Yeah, it did look like he was wearing pants. That's what kind of threw me.
Yeah, it threw me as well, because now I was wondering, whether or not this was something maybe a teenager was playing a prank on summer holidays. You know, I mean, the head looks realistic,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, it's just one of those things, man, that I don't get it. I don't get it. That's just me. That's just me. All right, let's go to a different question here. This one comes from Tony. Lon, what is your most interesting story this month?
You know, I'm looking right now because I saw it pop up there. God, I don't know. It's been pretty busy. The you know, another thing we've been getting are these not deer sightings. I don't know if you're familiar with those. But
Yes, I am.
this is something that's been popping up occasionally. In other words, what people are describing are a creature that would look like a deer, but there were parts or aspects of it that did not look natural. Now, I'm not talking a deer that had some type of disease or something like that, but I'm talking about a humanoid like deer, sometimes with antlers, sometimes with a human head, something like I don't know, a satyr or something like that. But there was one in particular I thought was pretty bizarre, which happened in Utah, where this witness saw this thing out in a field, and it was literally walking bipedally, like that's the way it walked all the time. Walked just like a human, arms swinging and the whole 9 yards. But it was a deer, and it was actually leading a herd of deer that were quadrupeds. But this thing was just walking around like it no care in the world. And I heard a lot of not deer or deer man accounts over the years, but that was pretty interesting. But we do occasionally get something similar to that. A lot of these not deer are described as either having very long legs, some stand up, but not like this one. This one just seemed like that's all it did. It was natural for it to be a biped. Many times these not deer have like forward sitting eyes, human eyes, as opposed to side sitting eyes. Human characteristics, like they are very aware and focus on something or on an individual, and not just staring into the headlight thing, something where they're very intent that there seems to be some type of connection there. So, yeah, I mean, I think the not deer have been I've had a couple of them this month.
Yeah, I've learned about the not deer through our good friend Swamp Dweller, who has had a lot of reports from people on those. I mean, that they're totally interesting. I mean, like the skin that looks like it's almost melting off of the bone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just horrifying.
Well, you talk to Native American people, elders, or people that are involved with the occult aspects of a tribe, or that know the lore and the culture. And many times they'll tell you, well, you ran into a shapeshifter or maybe a skinwalker. Who knows? I mean, is this something that they've described as a skinwalker? Though, I mean, of course, when you think of skinwalker, you think of tribes in the southwestern part of the country, as opposed to other tribes. But all of these people have had spiritual and supernatural beings within their lore, their religion. I mean, most of them believe that Sasquatch is actually a spirit being. as opposed to flesh and blood, though they do believe that it can become flesh and blood if need be. This not deer or the deer men, are they actually something similar to what a Sasquatch is in their lore? I don't know. It could be. But they, many times when you talk to them about it, they do seem to be aware of the phenomena.
Follow-up question from Tony in the UK. Is this what they call a Wendigo?
Well, the Wendigo phenomena has kind of gotten a bit skewed over time. A Wendigo is basically a human who is possessed by some type of entity that changes their personality to the worse for the most part. Many times it's someone who, and many times it happens in the native indigenous people in their society, where someone turns into something that's very taboo, cannibal. It's not what a lot of people describe it as being and a lot of time people do describe it as looking like a deer or something that's got like a zombie deer or a zombie being. The whole Wendigo phenomena is basically human based. Chad Lewis wrote a great book about Wendigos, and it really goes into detail the whole lore behind it and the what it really is. I suggest people read that book. But yeah, the Wendigo it's a human based phenomena. Can't hear you, Dave.
Let's go to another question here in the chat room here from YJ. Is Dogman around in history far enough back to rule out them being made by mad scientists?
Well, there's a lot of mythology behind it. I mean, Greek mythology has had stories of dog-headed men living in islands out in the Aegean and such. And there have been other instances, part of the mythology of a civilization, where there are dog-headed beings. You look in the Egyptians, with the Anubis, the jackal-headed being. I don't know if it can rule out there being some type of intervention in more modern times, but there have been enough instances in more recent history. Now, when I say more recent history, I'm saying the last 100 to 150 years, even here in Pennsylvania, where there have been some outbreaks of these sightings in certain areas. And I don't think there's any real proof that there is human involvement with it, but who knows? I mean, the way our technology has changed over time. I'm not saying it's not ever going to happen, but it may very well happen at some point.
Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is asking, Lon, you've always been fearless. Is it an acquired skill?
There's nothing acquired by it. I'm not fearless. I'm not fearless about talking about this stuff, but I've had encounters. It affected me. I sometimes get an account that someone will send to me, and I think twice about actually going out there and looking for it. But no, as far as actually talking about it, I don't care if people think. They can think anything they want. I'm kind of beyond that now. I've done this 40 plus years, but I think it steals you Let's put it that way. I mean, I talk about things more fluently and easier than I did years ago. But of course, back then, people were less open-minded about a lot of this stuff. And I think people were more open to it and much more receptive to it. And it all comes down to people just want answers. People want to know the truth. And we're here to tell them.
When's the last time you got freaked out by a cryptid? Tell us a Lon story here.
You mean something that involved me?
Yeah.
What, you mean one of my encounters?
Yes.
Oh, well, of course.
What one really freaked you out?
Well, the winged humanoid encounter back in '88 was the worst. I mean, that was the one that really stuck with me, even more so than the Bigfoot encounter. Because I think there's a connection between that encounter all those years ago and to what we're dealing with in Chicago now. You know, it may sound crazy, but I think for some reason I was destined to be involved with this. I mean, you know, this whole Chicago thing kind of fell on our laps. Myself, Manuel, and Tobias. And we've been really intently looking into this phenomena ever since then. But no, in 1988, I had a winged humanoid encounter not far from where I live now, up by Camp Conewago here in South Central Pennsylvania, old Boy Scout camp. And that being was very similar to what people have seen in Chicago. 5-6 foot, mostly 6 foot in height, emaciated, very dark in color. Now the wings on this one we couldn't really tell what kind of wings they were, though for the most part the wings in Chicago had been like a membrane gargoyle or bat-like wing, but it had red eyes, and that's the first thing we noticed when we saw it standing in the creek. And it was able to jettison itself into the air without using the wings, though the wings were there. It was kind of folded behind them from what we could tell. But it jettisoned itself at a pretty fast degree. And yeah, that's very similar to what we're getting in Chicago. So, you know, I think there's a connection there somewhere. You know, I have more people telling me that it is than maybe more than what I believe. But there may very well be a connection.
That is awesome. Let's get to another question here. This one from Donna, who would like to know, Lon, have you ever seen or heard of lion men?
Not really. You know, there have been, of course, if you go back into history, there have been humanoids with lion heads, chimera of some type. But as far as more recent time, I really can't say I have seen it. Of course, we've had cat people or supposed cat people, but most of those look more like a panther humanoid as opposed to a large female lion or male maned lion. But those, you know, these feline cryptids do occasionally show up.
Weird. Very weird. Okay. I've never heard of them. So this, I mean, if I were to say some sort of lion man, to me, that sounds very Egyptian, very antique.
Yeah. Well, you know, there have been tales in the Southeast of the Wampus cat, which is a being, a cat-like being, large feline-like being that supposedly has 6 legs. We've actually had people who have said they have seen these things. There have been a lot of unusual cat sightings, more so in recent years, of mountain lions and pumas, or whatever you want to call them, that used to reside in the eastern part of the United States, but seem to be moving way back into here. the Pennsylvania Game Commission denies that there are mountain lions in Pennsylvania, but I just heard too many sightings. And of course, I had a sighting back down in Maryland back years ago of a mountain lion that crossed the road in front of me. And this thing, the tail and everything, as large as this thing was, it was a country road, but it was practically went from side to side as big as it was. So yeah, I mean, they're out there, and if they're more cryptid than natural, well, that just makes it better. But there are some sightings of some pretty bizarre things.
All right, let's move on to another question here from our audience, and this goes to Lucy Bell. Is there ever fur, hair, or droppings found from these cryptids like there are other forest animals?
There are. The DNA that has been derived from some of these samples usually comes up as just unknown, particularly Bigfoot, mostly with hair samples as opposed to scat and other physical evidence. But there has been the DNA usually comes back as unknown type of being, possibly hominid, but it's unknown. And that's kind of as close as it gets to. My personal feeling, I think man and these beings do have some type of connection down the pike, but to what degree, I really don't know.
Yeah, that one I'm surprised we don't see more of. I mean, how many times do we have to hear unknown cryptid? Or unknown species or whatever? I mean, shouldn't there be enough samples by now to name a species?
Well, there are a lot of people in the cryptid world who are more scientific, and then a lot of other investigators, and they take the side of science for the most part, which is fine. I don't have no problem with that. They're very strict in determining what they're dealing with. But usually these are people who have never had an encounter either. I think once you have the encounter, all that goes out the window, and then you start really opening up and thinking outside the box. And in my case, that's what happened. I know others who have had, not necessarily they've actually seen a being, but there've been so many things around them that points to something not known to science that they become more attuned and more open-minded, that and basically say, well, I don't know what it was, but I'm never going to say it is impossible now.
We have about 45 seconds left with you here in this final half hour or second and a half hour. We have more audience questions coming in your final half hour for Lon Strickler and Lon's website. If you haven't checked it out, phantomsandmonsters.com. And I'm surprised nobody has asked about winged humanoids yet tonight, or just anything winged, because who knows? Pterodactyls, Big Bird, maybe he's flying away from Sesame Street. Who knows? Lon would be on it. phantomsandmonsters.com. You can get all of Lon's books on Amazon as well. And Lon comes in near the end of each month with Strange Days, a great feature that we've been doing for years here on Spaced Out Radio. We got more questions from all of you, and we will be back on Spaced Out Radio as we pass the halfway point. More Lon Strickler, then Swamp Dweller, then the UFO Report with Tim. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Very cool. Very cool. We're on the ball here. Let's see here. Excuse me. Let's see. Trying to get over a little bit of heartburn right now.
Mm.
Were you eating the ghost pepper sauce, Dave?
No, not tonight. I did have a little too much salsa on my quesadillas for dinner.
Were they homemade quesadillas?
They were homemade quesadillas, yes. What did Dirty Filth have for dinner tonight?
Rice. I had rice, Dave.
That here I thought you would be having some Chef Boyardee ravioli. You look like a Chef Boyardee ravioli kind of guy.
I'm actually put a can of beans in the fridge and let them get cold and eat the cold beans right out of the can type of guy. But I got one can left, and that's for lunch tomorrow.
Hey, Christina Gomez, thank you so much for coming on in, and thank you for that awesome super chat. Very much appreciate it. And I am loading up more questions here, people. We will try and get them all in.
The cats are being extra jerks tonight
Why?
because I had to wrangle them up and they wanted to stay outside. They'll get eaten by coyotes, and I don't want to have a missing cat.
The Edmonton Coyotes. Would have been a good football name.
No comment.
Mm-hmm. Lon, we got some great questions coming up. Hi, Sensational Shelley. How are you? Audience has some great questions here. We'll try and get them all in for you. There's about 9 of them right now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find some news here. Holy cow, it's thin. Let's see here. Try there. Nope, nothing new there. You say there, Dirty Filth?
What do I say? I say I'm starving and I wish I had some pickles.
I'd give you the pickles, but I'm sure not sharing the juice.
Well, truth be told, I do have a jar of basically dried up pickles downstairs because I usually drink all the pickle juice before I eat the pickles.
Mm. Lon looks like he can polish off a jar of pickles, no problem.
Oh, I was raised on homemade pickles.
Oh, me too, man. Me too.
Yeah, my grandmother canned stuff all the time. And my aunt had a truck farm basically, and we had a large plot that we grew stuff in. I used to help out when I was a kid. Got bit by a copperhead one year.
Oh, jeez.
Digging out potatoes. Yeah, I remember that was quite a thing. I've been bitten twice by copperhead.
Ouch.
Yeah, I've had 2 incidents with copperheads.
Oh,
Once was
God, I
the back
hate
of the
snakes.
leg, and the other one was in my lawn. I was
Dave, you
fishing.
get snakes or sharks? Which one are you taking?
Oh, it's definitely snakes. I don't like sharks.
Oh, neither. Just burn them all.
Nope,
Burn
I'm
them all.
not a shark guy.
Big thank you quickly to Christina, Lala, Simon, D. Cohen, Mennonite Abe, Cat Chaser, Sally, and Bob for the super chats. Here we go, everyone. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, we say hello to Lon Strickler, who comes in once a month for Strange Days. This is where we get into everything weird and strange that people are reporting of monsters, legends, folklore, in the forests, in our houses, in the sky above. Lon, thank you so much for joining us. We also should mention that Lon has a plethora of great books to add to your library. All you got to do is type in Lon Strickler on Amazon, and it'll pop right up. Thank you, Lon, for coming on in.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
No problem. We got a bunch of audience questions here. We're going to burn through these. Let's start off with Raul. Any thoughts, Lon, about the beast of Gévaudan over in France way back when?
Yeah, I think that was an actual wolf at some time. I mean, that particular beast or canine, it was a huge one. And apparently it attacked people and attacked livestock. May very well have been affected somehow. It became quite bloodthirsty. I think that story is true. But there have been other lycanthropy stories and tales of humans, werewolves transformed into bloodthirsty canines. I think there's some truth to some of that. I don't know. I don't know how much has been embellished over the centuries, but I think that did happen.
All right, let's move on to another question here. This one from Ron. Do you think there will be more sightings when they turn the CERN collider on July 5th?
I don't know. I think these particle accelerators, CERN in particular, do have the capacity to opening rifts up between dimensions. As many people do know, that there is a particle accelerator, actually the oldest particle accelerator in the world, in Fermi Labs just outside of Chicago. And this has been something that we have looked into over time. And there was a supposed accident at this lab, though they really don't go into detail, that occurred 7 or 8 years ago. About the time the first sightings of these winged beings started showing up in Chicago. So were portals opened up because of this? I don't know that either, but it's an interesting story. Supposedly, after that accident, they shut down for a while. They retooled everything. And over the past year, they have been running it to a lesser degree. So we'll see. I mean, you hear a lot of different theories as to what may happen with these particle accelerators, but I think there is a capacity that something could happen to cause some type of shift. So we'll have to wait and see.
All right, let's move on to another question here for Lon Strickler. Let's go to Eddie. What's your favorite cryptid to research?
Winged humanoids. Yeah, winged humanoids, because there's so much variety. There's always some different aspects to them. There are different ones that show up here and there, and it's pretty well a worldwide phenomenon, though most of the sightings that we have gotten over the years have been concentrated in North America, most in particular the United States. But Canada has had some sightings as well, even with upright canines. I mean, Southern Ontario has been a pretty busy place. The Niagara region, we've gotten some pretty interesting reports up there. So, yeah, that's my favorite.
Jonathan in the UK would like to know, where are all the dead bodies?
I wish I knew. Something's out there we just don't know yet. Maybe one day we'll dig into it and find it, but who knows? I mean, it's all mystery. It's all conjecture at this point. Yeah, I don't know where all the dead bodies are.
Raul would like to know if you know more about the Weircats, aka cat people.
Like I said before, we occasionally get sightings. Most of the sightings that we get are down in Florida of humanoid cats, just large cats that just seem out of the ordinary, may have some human aspects to them. They're very rare. We don't get a lot of them. But I think Florida is probably the one state that we get most of the sightings from.
Do you think Florida's attraction to a lot of cryptids is because of the environment? I mean, it's a nice environment, warm environment, but I mean, when you're battling hurricanes and you're battling other type of weather phenomena, add to the fact you got a lot of dangerous species in those swamps, from snakes to alligators to crocodiles to, everything that wants to kill you.
Well, it's conducive for cover. It's conducive to stay safe. Just say like the Everglades and swamps within the state itself. And there are a lot of them all throughout the state, even up into past Orlando, up further north, even up to the border with Georgia. There are a lot of swampy areas, and not a whole lot of people will go in there. So I think it's a safe environment for them. Plenty for them to eat if they can. They avoid being eaten themselves. But no, I think Florida is very conducive to cryptid activity.
Okay, let's move on here to another question. Joshua would like to know, other than Sasquatch, what cryptid has the most evidence?
Well, I say Sasquatch mostly. There have been a few prints from supposed cryptid canines, but by far, Bigfoot, Sasquatch are the most prevalent, and it's mostly footprint evidence, audio evidence, and occasionally we'll get some video evidence. But no, that's the number one. But once in a while, we'll get something interesting on the canine side of things.
When's the last time you got some high quality video evidence? And I'm not talking from an iPhone that shows that it looks like it's 6 miles away.
Yeah.
Or whether it's been put public or whether it's just been sent to you privately.
I have gotten a few. I've had some things sent to me in the past that look very promising, but of course they're, like you said, at a distance for the most part. But they are out there. And when I do get something I believe has some potential, I will post it on the blog. I had just had one the other day from a very reliable source on Roan Mountain in North Carolina, where this woman was up on the mountain taking photographs of her dog, and this large dark creature showed up in the background of the photo. It wasn't the greatest photograph, but you can tell something was there. And from all indications of the witness, I believe that she was telling the truth. I think she was very forthright about it. They didn't release the photograph right away. They held on to it, put it out in a few forums. Didn't get much attention. They sent it to me and asked me for my opinion. And it's interesting for one thing, and I think this is the reason why they sent it to me, because I have family that's from that area. And my family has been talking about the wild men up there for years. You know, that's kind of my first incarnation with Bigfoot, because of my great uncles talking about it, them raiding their stills and a lot of other things when they were up there. But yeah, the wild man tales on Roan Mountain are pretty well known. And this was an interesting photograph. So if you go to the Phantoms of Monsters, you'll see it up there.
All right, let's move on here, as we have a question from Donna. Have you ever encountered any invisible beings? Hear them but not see them? Walking up buildings or in your backyard?
I haven't personally, but I've heard a lot of different reports from folks. Here in Pennsylvania, more particular, in the woods, a lot of times people will be out there and they will see leaves move, like something's walking in the woods, like steps are coming down, it's kicking stuff up, and they hear the sounds, and they hear the heavy footfalls. And many of them will attest that it is definitely something huge that's walking on bipedally, but they just couldn't see it. I've had several of those, and most of those have come from Pennsylvania. So who knows? You know, there are invisible beings out there. Are they cloaking? We've had a couple of photographs where have been partial of a possible Bigfoot materializing partially and invisible, and then one half of it and not the other. Strange stuff. Kind of hard to dismiss, but of course it's a photograph, and you know, photographs can be manipulated and video can be manipulated. So who knows? But yeah, we have had reports of invisible beings.
All right, let's move on to another one here. Let's go to Clout Drought. Any update on your team's contact with the winged humanoids?
We have had some contact occasionally, nothing to the degree we had when we started communicating with them back in October of last year. There were some issues with, you know, I blame myself for this. When we started getting evidence and started getting contact, I put it out there on the blog. We put it out there on video. And of course, we had other folks who thought they could do the same thing we were doing and try to summon these beings. And in one instance, somebody thought they caught contact with them and tried to bind them. And when I say binding, I'm talking magically or occult wise. And that turned out to be a mistake because this person literally got hurt. I'm not going to go into details, but it was bad. And these beings kind of cut us off for a bit, but we are having contact with them, and in fact, it's starting to ramp up a bit, and we plan on having another show on Fams of Monsters Radio dealing with this, and with the updates and some of the things that we've been finding more recently. But it's baby steps. I mean, I've said that all along. It's something that you just can't jump into. They have their reasons why they're doing things, and we just have to respect that and go at their pace. And if we do get more information or information we are allowed to disclose, then we will do that. But at this point right now, we're just going to put it out there as we get it and what we feel safe to put out into the public. We don't want to have another situation like we had before.
Eddie would like to know, do you also dabble with water cryptids?
Occasionally. The lake monster thing isn't really my bag, though. I am interested in it. I'm fascinated by the possibilities. But as far as water cryptids and my involvement is either some type of water type humanoid, mermaids, merman, anything like that they do show up. I mean, we do get reports of these all the time. So if I think it's a valid account, I will report on it. But no, we do get them occasionally.
Okay, that leads to Evan's question, where Evan is asking, any aquatic humanoids that are not reptilians?
Yeah. I will attest that many of them do have that reptilian type of look to them. But no, we've had others that have been smaller that look less reptilian than what you may believe. They look more fish-like for the most part, but they do have arms, and sometimes they do have kind of a human look to them. I mean, that's been reported to us. So, no, it's not all reptilian. I mean, there could be a lot of different things. And there's a lot of mythology behind it, too, as well. People talk about water sprites and spirits and stuff. It's very prevalent in West Africa and down the Caribbean. But, yeah, they're not all reptilian.
Okay, let's speed through another couple here. Let's get to Ron here. Have you personally ever had any Men in Black encounters?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I'm fascinated by them. I think the Men in Black are a kind of the cleanup crew for some of the alien races. I don't think they're summoned or have any part of what of our government or humans. I think they're kind of they're kind of designed to maybe take the edge off of witnesses who they don't want to report things. Though just the sight of them and their demeanor scares the bejesus out of witnesses. They seem to show up at the most inopportune time, and usually very close to an actual sighting itself before it's even been reported. So I think that these are some type of alien or extraterrestrial being that they use to police themselves if somebody gets a gander or something that really shouldn't be or was accidentally seen.
All right, let's continue on here. We got about 5 minutes left with Lon Strickler tonight. Let's go to Tombstone. Any accounts you've come across of winged humanoids from Australia?
Honestly, I can't think of one right now. That I never even thought of that, but no, I can't think of one. No, I can't.
Well, appreciate your honesty on that. Couple questions from Jonathan Davies over in the UK. Good morning, little Johnny Davies. What's the best assessment on these creatures? Dimensional beings?
Yeah, I think they are dimensional beings, and it's good to see Jonathan Davies if it's who I think it is. I think they are dimensional. And I think most cryptids are interdimensional beings. Because if they were indigenous, I think we'd have more evidence of them. So that's why I think they are. And I know Jonathan has looked into a lot of the phenomena over there in the UK, and he's very well versed in, especially the winged humanoids and the winged beings over there. So, but I think as well, I think these are interdimensional beings.
Follow-up question from Jonathan: have military ever turned up in areas where a sighting had taken place?
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've had a couple instances where they've showed up in relation to winged beings in the Chicago area. It's been mostly out in the suburbs, but there does seem to be some type of military activity associated with some of these sightings. Are they in there hunting them down for whatever reason? Who knows? Are they associated with some type of military operation? Possibly. But it has happened.
All right, let's continue on here. Joshua says, I live in Washington. What cryptids around here? Obviously, there's Sasquatch. But what other cryptids are around there?
We've had winged beings out there. I think we had a couple upright canines. A lot of the pale crawler humanoid sightings have been out in Washington and Oregon. But no, it's mostly Sasquatch.
All right. And we got Kawhi here. What kind of evidence have we collected for Dogman?
Very minimal. Maybe footprints and anecdotal evidence, and occasionally we'll get a questionable photograph. But other than that, we really haven't gotten much. We're relying on the witnesses and their witness statements. So at this point right now, that's all we can really rely on.
Donna here will have our last question of the night for you. Have you ever seen a military convoy show up in the fog to pick up an entity?
I haven't seen that, but I have heard of some.
My God, I didn't see that.
Yeah. There have been a couple that I know of in Europe where supposedly there have been convoys of that have responded to some type of sighting. Most of the time we hear of convoys here in the United States where they're transporting possible extraterrestrial craft or extraterrestrial evidence of some type. You don't see a lot of it, but occasionally somebody will see something that's questionable, take a picture of it and send it to us. And for the most part, when we look into it, it's a pretty innocuous operation. Something else is going on. They're transporting, some type of experimental device or plane or something. So,
Lon, tell everybody where they can find Phantoms and Monsters in your podcast.
Well, you go to phantomsandmonsters.com. That's the blog. And Phantoms and Monsters Radio can be found at YouTube. Just go into search Phantoms and Monsters Radio and it'll come up. The Phantoms and Monsters Fortean research team can be found at cryptidhunters.org. Our cases are listed there. And geez, I mean, we're getting out there everywhere, to be honest with you. We've kind of rebranded in the past couple of months, and it's we're starting to get more and more information from people, more and more sightings and such. So if you've got anything and you'd like to have maybe your report posted on the Phantoms and Monsters blog or at Phantoms and Monsters Radio, just let us know. Send it to me at Lon Strickler at phantomsandmonsters.com.
Awesome. Lon Strickler, Strange Days. We'll talk to you next month. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we have Swamp Dweller, then the UFO Report on the mighty SOR. Beautiful job tonight, Lon. Sorry. Vaughn just came into our chat room. Hi, Vaughn Patrick. Great job, Lon, once again, and thank you so much for the love, man.
Okay, no problem.
We'll talk to you next month.
You take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Lon Strickler, everybody. How awesome is he? By the way, there are your Moo Woo t-shirts, everyone. There are your Moo Woo t-shirts. Go to spacedoutradio.com. You can get them right now. Moo Woo t-shirts. Yep. And for those of you who would love to get one, all right, we started off building a brand new How You Doing Grantavius Max shirt right there. There's your Grantavius Max right there, all named, wearing his Max SOR pants. We got it all right there. Go to spacedoutradio.com and check it on out. Great questions tonight, everyone. Fantastic questions. And turn it over to Dirty Filth. And Filth, you be the man here. There you go. You might want to turn your mic on.
Okay, bye, Dave.
See you.
There he goes. Off into the sunset. Probably let his dogs out. Probably go poop on his neighbor's lawn. Well, we're almost done this drawing here, folks. What's everybody? I just wish they would. Can I show the Moo Woo pic? Yes. Hold on a second. Reach over there. There it is. It's got the Big Dipper in it, too. Olin Thorson. He's the new kid in school. Apparently. Hi, Jessica S. Ugh, oh, good gods. Okay, back to this drawing. I got a color in this creature here. Von Patrick, you and I still got to go for a wobbly pop one day. I whipped that Moo Woo drawing up in like an hour. It's like a world record for me. Usually I just take my... Usually I'm just lollygagging the whole time when I draw stuff because it's not a race. Maybe next Friday. What am I doing next Friday? Well, I don't know, man. Yeah, but I gotta... Okay, Vaughn. I'll go have a wob with you next Friday. But I gotta be home in time to draw cartoons, man. It's very important stuff. Otherwise, everyone's gonna have to look at Dave's chair. You said you live by like White Ave or something like that? Well, Joshua 420, or if you got like a link to any like Instagram stuff, I always like following other artists because I like looking at stuff that I cannot do. I used to originally draw pencil portraits and things like that, like super detailed stuff. And then, boy, I'm going all over the place here. And then I just eventually, there was just so much anime and there was no more Ren and Stimpy or anything. And I was like, well, I'm going to take it upon myself to draw a traditional, generic kind of cartoon. So that's what I did. And I've got influences from all types of stuff. My watercolors definitely influenced by Milo Minar, which I don't understand how some of these guys can draw realistic stuff with watercolor. It's mind-boggling. I've practiced stuff and tried all types of techniques and watched videos and junk, but I just can't emulate it. So I just stuck with what I like doing, and apparently other people like it. So as long as other people are happy with it and I'm happy with it, that's fine by me. And I apologize because I can't stare at the chat room and paint stuff at the same time. So I'm probably missing a whole bunch of stuff. But
Blue Cruise, how you doing, man?
Look, there's Dave with his freshly trimmed beard.
I did. I trimmed it last night.
It looks nice, Dave.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. All right. I want to say a big thank you to Simon, D. Cohen, Mennonite Abe, Cat Chaser, Sally, Science Bob, Lala, and Christina for the awesome super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much for the love and support. Thank you to everybody who's new, who hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and hit after the show, leave a comment below. It really helps us with the algorithms with YouTube, so we'd greatly appreciate it. Here we go with hour number 3, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Philiopetasic. Oh, I butchered that. Philiopetasic. There we go. Yeah, pita stick. Something like that. I don't know. But the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website has spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. And you can rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with the Swamp Dweller, bringing us another spooky story tonight.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Before starting, I must give some background. I live in an area in Saskatchewan, on a reservation, with my best friend. I was visiting a friend until late 1:30 a.m. when we started to walk home. We had to walk to a T road roughly 5 minutes from our friend's. We both had to go in separate directions. His house was only 2 minutes away and mine was still another 20 minutes. He scored me a smoke for the walk and told me he'd see me tomorrow. As I walked home 5 minutes later, my best friend messaged me telling me he had just gotten home. Then he called me, so I answered because I felt something was behind me. I told my friend immediately on the phone. He said not to run, so I didn't. Walking down the road, I heard a loud screech, like some sort of person calling for help. It said my name, and my heart stopped because it sounded exactly like my late auntie, who passed away a year before this incident. My friend yelled at me over the phone to run and not look behind me, but I didn't listen. So I looked behind me and saw a tall beast with antlers roughly 100 to 150 yards behind me. That head was the actual skull of a deer. It yelled at me, "I see you," in a very dark, almost abnormal voice. And keep in mind, to get home, I still had a minimum of 10 minutes of running. So I turned and bolted as fast as I ever ran because I thought I was going to die. And luckily enough, I had my friend on the phone and screamed to him to call my grandfather to bring the truck and rifle to the bottom of the road. And as I was running, I felt as if this thing was 3 times faster than me. As I got closer, the screams of whatever was chasing me sounded more distant, but I was still too frightened to stop running. Still, as I got closer to him, I heard my dog, so I started calling out for him, and he came to me. At the same time, I collapsed and passed out, and maybe 5 hours later, I awoke in the ER, had a bandage over my shoulder, and asked why I was there. Hence, they showed me pictures of when I got brought in by my grandfather. I had a huge scar, almost like 4 claws, but too far apart to be a bear. My grandfather told me that my dog was bitten once and hurt almost like it was protecting me. At the same time, I was unconscious at the approach of my road. Ever since, my dog has never left my side. He even has a hard time when I go to school. But that is the story of my, what I believe to be, Wendigo encounter. You don't need to believe me, but ever since I have been way too afraid to be left alone without a friend and my dog. And if you want to know my dog's name, his name is Bear. He is a whole breed, black German Shepherd. My name is Billy, and I live in Minnesota. Most of the state is a mix of urban and rural areas, but I stay close to the city. This story being one of the reasons. This story doesn't have any ghosts or ghouls, but it does have a genuinely terrifying experience that has stuck with me. I used to be a canvasser for a local broadcasting company. I would go with my team to different towns and ask for donations for the company. Some towns would be in suburban areas and others would take us far into the countryside. One day when we were out in the middle of nowhere, each sent on our respective routes, I came across a white painted house that immediately sent chills down my spine. The paint was chipping and hadn't been tended to in years. It wasn't nothing compared to the yard, though. Inside the tiny wire fence area, vines and weeds grate at least 5 feet tall. We were all instructed that if the gate wasn't locked, we could open it and go in. But standing at a stout 5'6" meant the irritating plants would be smacking me in the face. Still, I'd rather be honest and say I went in and tried than lie and risk reprimanding. Thinking back, I should have just lied. I had to fight through weeds and sharp spines of plants that didn't want me there until I eventually reached the screen door. The outside windows of the patio were blocked with taped newspapers, blotting out any chance to look inside. My instinct was to run from this strange place, but I calmed my nerves and continued to go in anyways. I checked the handle to feel it was unlocked. As per my job description, I was allowed to open and enter the screen door. I wish I hadn't. I had to shove my body into the door to open it. The inside was a place of nightmares. There were piles of delivery boxes, some molding in the corners. I stepped over piles and piles of, I don't even know what to call them. There was mail here, squirrel carcasses there. There was feces and flies swarming its body. I had to look away to avoid screaming or vomiting. I got to the main door of the house and knocked twice. No answer. I hit again, a little firmer this time. I hope this person answers the door quickly so I can leave. Why I didn't immediately bolt at that sight was beyond me. At the third knock, I heard someone whispering through the door. I asked if the person could speak up, and the response was a woman screaming so loud it shook the patio.
Get the hell out!
She didn't need to repeat herself. I bolted out of the deck, through the weed-infested yard, and back to the car. I stayed there the entirety of my shift. I was let go from that job, but in hindsight, I think that was a blessing and a reminder of why I stay close to the cities. Although a harrowing adventure, I hope someone out there enjoyed my nightmare.
And we say thank you to Swamp Dweller for freaking out all of us tonight. And I'm being buzzed by a moth right now. Darn it. It's moth season. I hate moths. They are so annoying. Anyways, Swamp Dweller comes in each and every night for some really strange stories. You can find all of his thousands of stories by going to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads and check it on out. It is time once again. Bring in Tim Senor. Fill it in on the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Tim, how's it going there, my friend? Good to see you with another update tonight.
How are you doing, Dave? Great to see you, buddy.
Well, apparently, I don't know if you're seeing this on Twitter or not, but there is a bunch of mystery lights being seen tonight in San Diego. Right now it's happening. Right now.
Yeah. UFO hotspot. And of course, that coast has been lighting up. And we know it has been for years. It's a hotspot out there. It's not surprising. But some of those new images coming in are surprising. And they're very convincing. And they're coming from multiple sources. Clusters of orange and red lights. Very curious, Dave. We'll have to look into this deeper as more reports flood in.
Well, here's one picture that we have right now on our screen, and for our radio audience, we'll explain it to you. Looking out in the ocean, there seems to be a bright pair of headlights, almost looks like a car. It's taken above Mission Beach in San Diego, and this is pretty impressive. And there is a lot of these photos that are starting to come out from San Diego right now. I'm just trying to pull up some more of them and see if I can find some here. But what do you think's going on here, Tim? I mean, is this another Phoenix Lights happening here?
I mean, it very well could be. And it's great that you're covering this and looking for updates because it is one of those happening stories. And so giving live coverage and showing some of these videos to the audience here is incredible and very news breaking. And you're showing something now. It looks almost like a cluster of 5 lights that are working in unison. And if I didn't know any better, I would say it looks to be in some sort of coordination. These 5 lights blinking on and off in repetition and almost a wave of light. Very interesting video coming in there, Dave. Thanks for showing that one.
Well, let's see what else we can find here right now, because this is happening as we speak in San Diego tonight. I mean, here's a shot from somebody's, it looks like their garage. Let's check this out. So they're filming from the garage. It looks like 2 triangles that are hovering, and one just lost a light. It's right over top of the city. It almost looks like it's forming its way into a Phoenix Lights type of boomerang. I mean, this
like multiple there, Dave. Almost like 3, perhaps.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible. Let's stick with this for a few minutes because this is breaking right now.
And
here's some photos that a lady named Pegs on Twitter caught. And this is just from, it looks like her driveway. And you have what looks to be these orange, they almost look like eyeballs or orange orbs, like if you take a picture of the sun. I mean, these are very interesting.
Isn't it incredible that the public is looking up and capturing this from so many different sources, and Twitter's lighting up with the same actual experience? And we're going to have so many stories coming from this. It's just incredible. What a great time we live in that people are looking up and ready to disclose things in public like this.
Well, it is good. It is good. But the thing about it is, Tim, like every video, every sighting, this is like Close Encounters of the Third Kind right now. They're all different. They're all different.
That interesting. Yeah.
Okay, like this video, this is one from the beach where it's just looking like there's a car having its high beams on way out in the middle of the ocean. Now, realistically, that could be a boat. We don't know. Okay, but they just seem to be hovering over the water.
That's right. That's right. And this one corroborates kind of the first video you showed that kind of expressed the same dual orange orbs just hovering out there. Excuse me.
And in this video taken from somebody's driveway, there's another 3 set of lights in a triangle, and there's actually an airliner flying right by it.
Incredible.
What the heck is going on right now?
Interesting too that this experience is taking place and so many people are recording it. And a great point you've briefly touched on there is that so many people are having different experiences. And so we're getting different perspectives. And so the same event is taking place, but we're going to get so many different stories about what is actually unfolding in front of each one of these experiencers. It's incredible.
Jim Wilson in our chat room, he solved it. Weather balloon filled with swamp gas. We've solved it.
There you go.
There you go. But
that's a perfect explanation.
This is incredible right now. What you have to do is, if you're listening to this show, go just type on Twitter San Diego UFO, and it is all popping up. Here's another video that's popping up here. So this is a set of 4 lights almost in a diamond formation.
And Dave, are we seeing these over the ocean, do you think, or are these over the city? And I'm seeing some kind of flashing taking place in this video in particular. And I'm wondering, is everyone filming, do you think, the same group of objects? Or do you think that, some are out in the ocean, some are over the city, and depending where you are, this is coming in? And I'm wondering if, we can get a better clue as to the number of craft we're actually seeing entering the skies.
Well, I've got a message right now out to one of my sources in San Diego who's very involved in the UFO world, and I haven't heard back from him yet. But this is breaking news, people. This is what we do. I wish our radio audience could be watching this right now with us. And if you want to see it, go over to our YouTube channel. This is absolutely incredible what we are seeing, and everyone looks different. This is what's amazing. Are they different craft? Are people seeing different things from different angles? Do they look different from different angles? I mean, these are all videos, my friend, that I'm pulling up. They're within the last half an hour. There's a set of 5 right there that are like in a shape of a W. Okay, so you have one up top, then down below, then one in the middle, then down below, and then go right back up again. I mean, hey, this could be drones, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Here's the thing. If it was drones, think of the size of those lights, because they're holding up. I mean, they're staying in a formation perfectly still, and you can see, like, look in the foreground, you can actually see police lights flashing on the ground, and that's in the foreground. In comparison, the lights in the sky are still much bigger, so they must be massive.
Well,
that would be a big drone.
Looks like in this one video that looks like a helicopter. That looks like a helicopter.
In the upper right.
In the upper right, that's going on a screen. Now it's down to 3 lights. That just the top 3 of the W. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible what is going on here in San Diego, California right now. And it is all over Twitter, and people are streaming this right now on YouTube. They are streaming it, putting it all over Twitter. And, this has been going on probably the last half hour to an hour.
Wow.
And
it looks like the Phoenix lights, Dave. From the perspective you're showing now, it looks like 3 lights lit up as the other 2 had just gone out, kind of like in the Phoenix lights. Wow, that is incredible. It doesn't seem like they're really shifting.
This is right by the airport. Like airliners are taking off
in the foreground.
You know what's amazing me about these videos, and I'm hoping we could see one, and I'm going to keep looking here. But dude, I'm surprised we haven't seen a video yet of any sort of jet fighter take off, because you have a couple of bases there. You have
now, what's in that
base.
one?
Well, let's
Is
take
there
a look
something
here.
flying? Oh my gosh. Wow, Dave. That is exciting. It does look like something, maybe one or two lights are appearing to investigate. As you see in the upper right there, it looks like almost a helicopter's coming close.
That would be a helicopter.
investigating. And down below,
Yeah.
perhaps something else. But
But
that is a cluster of red and orange lights just flashing kind of in a wave of light, if I was to describe it, flashing on and off.
We're getting reports from Downshift here that the lights are being seen as far south as Tijuana right now. So I'm not sure what is going on here, but I mean, you have to realize Miramar is right outside of San Diego, where Top Gun takes place.
Yeah.
And
well, Dave, all I can say is I'm really glad that they waited until our UFO report started to really kick this off, because we're able to cover it really well.
Yeah, this has been going on
Perfect
for over
timing.
an hour. This has been going on for over an hour here. I'm just going to refresh Twitter here and see what's going on. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like, see, this shot here looks like flares.
It does.
That shot looks like flares. So I don't know what that is. But let's check out some more video.
A still frame. It could have been just the person doing a handheld camera shot, and that was a shaky camera still. But it could also have been smoke coming off of those orange orbs. I mean, they don't appear to. I mean, they look like they are changing and like going on and off in synchronicity, like purposefully, not like flares flickering, more like purposefully going on and off in sync.
Okay, according to Tim, according to Downshift in the chat room, Fox 5 in San Diego is reporting it has military flares, but flares don't sit that long in areas. I am absolutely stunned by this right now, and this is pretty incredible. Just the video footage that we are getting on Twitter from people just like you tuning us in and getting this out on social media. Flares don't keep formation either.
Or flash in synchronicity.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing there. Now, we may find out this is a mundane thing, drones or flares, but at this point, it does look pretty incredible. And for a lot of reports to be coming in like this across such a vast area, not just one group of flares. These are flares up and down the coast in multiple groups, if that's the case. I mean, doesn't that kind of discount flares as potentially not being the case since there's so many reports, Dave?
Well, we're going to have to find out more. And we only got a couple minutes here before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour here. And I'm stunned right now. Absolutely stunned that this is going on while we're on the air here on Spaced Out Radio. And let's hit refresh again. San Diego, California, right now, over the last hour and a bit, there has been documented sightings of UFOs hovering over the ocean in San Diego, and we are looking into it right now and see what's happening. But this is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. The different fields of view that people have from their driveways, from sitting on the beach, and they all look different. They all look different.
They do. Isn't it interesting how quickly they've come to the conclusion that it's flares, just like the Phoenix Lights later on, their second report, how they tried to cover it up by calling them flares.
Tim, we're going to continue with this and a little bit more on Spaced Out Radio with the UFO Report. Tim Senor is here. We'll be back following this story in San Diego right now. I'm blown away by this, man.
It's great.
Just blown away.
That's great.
What's this video? Okay, so there's those two orange ones.
Yeah, I think the one that it was the W that were flashing on and off in sync, that was the most amazing, I think, so far.
Doug Shelby's getting armed up. Yeah, he ain't getting probed tonight. The Doug Shelby is not getting probed tonight. Look at this one. How now there's 3. There was 4. Now we're back to 2.
You know what, Dave? It reminds me of that video that I filmed in February 2020. It was just 3. They're blinking the exact same way. It's really uncanny. It's weird. Anyways, back to drawing cartoons.
All right. Thank you for that update, Dirty Filth. You were just filthy for that update. Filthy good update. Right there.
Love it. So crazy. I was just going to report on something in the same coast.
We're probably going to end up skipping Shirky Poo's news because of this.
Okay.
All right. Lisa Compton is an hour north of San Diego, and she's on a mountain. She's going out now to see if she can see the lights.
Yes.
YJ is reminding everybody, duct tape your buttholes shut, please. It's on tonight.
Good advice, YJ.
Yeah. Apparently, Troy SR71 says Department of Homeland Security is circling the area at 15,000 feet. I'm surprised fighters haven't been pushed in there yet. Let's see if we can get an update here. There's a new one from 35 seconds ago. This is over the ocean. Two lights going to one.
Transmedium.
I don't know.
Maybe it's going in the ocean.
Notice how it just fades out.
Yeah. I mean, is that how flares go out when they go in the ocean? Is that what we're seeing? Yeah. I mean, is it a transmedium object going in the ocean? It's tough.
Well, Jim Wilson says the flare lights were from Squadron VMGR 325, the Raiders, according to Sandy Demunick, a public information officer for Naval Station Coronado.
I'll go with that, man.
How you doing?
Sure. Some of these could be. I mean, who knows? Some of these could be flares as a distraction, or, it could all be flares, like they're reporting. Good to ask questions.
Weird. Very, very weird. Military flares, though, don't last a long time, especially chaff.
Right.
And why would they chaff over the city?
Yeah, to get in the headlines.
Hey, Mystic Smock, how you doing?
Yeah, there's photos of it with a smoke trail. Sure. Yeah,
there's.
I'm
not saying that. I'm not saying that they're not flares, guys. I'm not saying that whatsoever. It's just, what's the purpose? Dogface Boy has the best answer. I blame Merle. Merle.
He's always Merling.
Good old Merle. We love our Merle around here.
Can't get enough.
There's a guy in his car. You can see the lights right there. Hey, Deborah O'Connor. That's a good point. Deborah O'Connor said, I think there's really something going on, and they're using flares and other places as distraction. Good morning, Chris Moe. How you doing?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Good morning, Natalie in the UK. Okay, we got 15 seconds. Stand by. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair here in the middle of British Columbia. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We got some breaking news happening right now in San Diego, California, where strange lights have been seen hovering over the ocean and over the city for well over an hour now. And it's weird because flares don't really change formation. Tim Senor is here from the UFO Report. Tim, I want to bring you in now. And we're looking at some video on Twitter, and our radio audience obviously cannot see it. But this is taken over one of the beaches in San Diego, obviously looking west or southwest or maybe northwest. But there are reports in Tijuana that the lights can be seen there as well. I mean, here we are looking at 4 different lights. A couple of them will fade out. They look like headlights from a car, and then one will disappear. Then it'll reappear, and then it'll appear in another part of the formation. I mean, what do we got going on here, Tim?
Well, I'll tell you what we've got. We've got a plethora of reports coming in from everywhere, from the north to the south coast right now on Twitter, buzzing and sending their videos online, which some could potentially be flares, but others just seem to go up when others are obviously floating down. And I'm wondering, how do flares go up? And how do they twinkle on and off in unison like we saw in that one video that was kind of in a W formation? They seem to be in sync. How can flares do that?
They really do. Now, there are reports out right now that are saying in San Diego that these are military jet flares, but flares don't seem to last that long, according to the citizens, Tim, like you just said, and the citizens who are watching them, right? Let's go. How long does a flare last? How long does a military flare last? All right. Handheld flares must burn for 1 minute, and they will burn for at least 40 seconds. All right. How long can it stay in the air? Up to 1 minute. But you're going to see that flare come down because of gravity. It's not just going to hang there in the sky. And these seem to be hanging in the sky here.
It's the Phoenix Lights all over again, Dave. It really is. I mean, I hate to say it, but for people in San Diego, this has to be frustrating. If you're filming something and you're saying it's otherworldly, and here they are reporting so quickly on flares and even potentially releasing flares to disguise it. I mean, maybe these are all flares, but at this point, we've got multiple reports, a plethora, if you will, as your favorite word sinks back into my vocab, of reports coming out from all over. It's pretty hard to say all of these are flares, and why would they be in so many different locations? That's the big question.
and in so many different formations. Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby in our chat room, best line of the night. Yeah, Nick Pope called and said he totally word for word is saying exactly what Tim and Dave are saying. I would agree with that. 100% agree with that. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Wow. These videos, if you go to Twitter, type in San Diego UFO, and let's try a different one here. Let's try, maybe we could get more by going to UFO San Diego. Sometimes you just got to manipulate everything a little bit. And last report came in 5 minutes ago. This is just incredible what's going on right now, what people are showing on video. And if you're just joining us, for the last hour and a bit, San Diego, California has had weird lights hovering over top of the ocean. And there are literally dozens of videos right now on Twitter at hashtag UFO San Diego, or just go in the search bar UFO San Diego to see them for yourself. Now, according to media reports, the military is saying these are flares that were dropped by airplanes and jet fighters over the city. Doesn't really make sense. The average military flare lasts about 60 seconds and drops in altitude. These were not moving in altitude. Very, very weird. Tim, your thoughts here?
Well, again, I'm pretty sure that this is just one of those things, the public knows what they're looking at. And so I do think that there's an absolute possibility that jets were scrambled to check this out and potentially cover up what may be taking place on the coast with some military flares. But as you said, those flares are only lasting a few seconds, even the ones with parachutes. And so those do tend to behave in a pretty typical fashion. And I'm assuming that the people of San Diego have seen flares before. And so I doubt highly that they would be out filming and wasting their time and filming while they're driving, risking life and limb to get this kind of footage if they thought they were looking at flares.
Oh, I fully agree with you. Fully agree with you right now. Fully agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that there's somebody out there with good quality lenses that are getting close-ups. If you're in San Diego, get multiple lenses on it. Try and get some, thermal. Just get as much data as you can while the event's taking place, because then we can prove that it's flares, if that's all it is. Or we could prove that it's still questionable and keep it at UAP. But whatever you do, don't let other people tell you what it is. Find out for yourself. And so don't just take the first piece of news that you're given that it's flares. Look into it if you're curious and get the real answer. And it's still going to be coming. We're going to get floods of this. And a lot of people aren't posting their video. Think of, the percentage of people that have actually shot this and haven't posted it. Hopefully over time, we'll get some new data with some new perspectives and more of the videos showing these objects actually going up.
Here's a video from 2 hours ago where it looks like a triangle of lights hovering over the city. I mean, how many times have we seen triangles? And the one bottom light keeps dipping in and out, and then it'll reappear. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Happening right now in San Diego, California. We don't get this often.
Amazing.
And yeah, this is just amazing. So, well, that's a flight to Tijuana there. But you could see that's off flight. Somebody posted a flight radar picture of a military aircraft circling in and around from in between San Diego and Tijuana near Chula Vista, going out into the ocean and then flying back. They are definitely tracking this. That is for sure. Absolutely. And the vehicle has no call sign, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And this is pretty incredible.
It's very telling. Now, of course, we obviously do anti-drug running and surveillance and a lot of practice out there, but in no way is the public duped usually into thinking that these practices, if that's what occasionally take place, are what we're seeing here tonight. If anything, what you're seeing, that tracking there, not necessarily is dumping flares, but like you're saying, tracking this UAP, if there is UAP. And who knows, perhaps throwing flares out as well to distract the UAP. Who knows if this is part of the process in their concept of interaction. So let's not assume we know the full story. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, and I'm sure there's plenty of story out there yet to come.
Yeah, this is incredible. This video goes from a triangle to a square and then a reverse triangle. And then the light appears in formation. I don't get this. I really don't get this.
Flares don't tend to go out and then come back on or go up. And this is at the coast, and these are lingering above the water. And some appear to go on and off. So it is a tough one. It is a tough one. And the fact that there are so many angles and so many witnesses, it'll be very interesting to see where this story ends up. And of course, we're already starting to see the narrative coming from the news, with the local News 8 reporting that these are flares, and even people in our chat coming from Twitter are showing us some evidence that this is potentially all flares, and that we are just barking up the wrong tree. But again, let's consider some of these witnesses are claiming that this is not flares. And so let's keep an open mind until we get all the data.
Yeah, this is just absolutely crazy right now, that what is going on. And hey, what I'm saying is, we don't know if this is UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomena, aliens. We don't know. We really don't know. We're only saying that there are strange lights that are appearing and disappearing over the ocean in San Diego, and areas where people are filming them. They're going in all sorts of shapes, from triangles to boomerangs to rectangles to squares. And it just seems like, once again, Tim, and I know we're sounding a little repetitive here, but it really seems like this is something where, from every different angle, somebody is getting something different.
That's right. I must say, the one video that you showed where they were in a W formation and holding that, and they seem to be flashing on and off in synchronicity, to me, that was very compelling. And so that was kind of from somebody that was up, I would assume, almost at the same level. They lived high, perhaps mountainside. There you go. What a great video there. And as we see, they seem to be turning on and off almost in unison, or a perfect flash of red across all of them in synchronicity. I don't know that flares tend to do that, or hold this kind of perfect W shape just suspended over the city like this. In my opinion, this is not flares, but someone with perhaps more experience would be able to give some insight. Typically, Dave, have you ever seen flares flash in unison like we're seeing in this video?
I've never seen it go from that shape at all. I mean, usually you get an orb of light or a trio of lights, maybe if you're lucky, getting two going side by side in formation, which I have seen before on two occasions when I lived near Mission, British Columbia, which is, about 10 miles from the United States border of Washington State. But I've never seen anything like this, where these lights are in the shape of a W and they aren't moving. And if you look here in the video, you can actually see what looks to be a plane or a helicopter flying right by them.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if any of these pilots come forward with their perspective, whether it confirms being mundane or otherwise. because obviously, if this is something else, they're getting an incredible close-up view. We've seen at least one helicopter fly nearby the lights, if not two. And in some shots, I think there were even multiple planes in the shot at the same time, if not helicopters. So there's definitely plenty of eyes on this. Uh, and also, you have all of these witnesses. Like I said, these are just the ones that have come forward on Twitter. We should scour Facebook and obviously other social media coming forward, or MUFON, for some real in-depth reports from some people that were a little bit more convinced that these were not flares. Those are the reports I'll be interested to hear.
Well, the other interesting part about this too that is going on right now is the fact that so many people are seeing these from different vantage points, from seawater level on the beach right up into the mountains, which are west or probably east of the city. I mean, we're getting views from absolutely every different type of angle here. And like, I'm going to read somebody here on Twitter, Skeptical Believer. Flares would not be visible for hundreds of miles. Start scrolling through. Hashtag UFO Twitter images and videos are being uploaded from all over in the sky for well over an hour. Flares last a couple of minutes at most. Well, we know they last for a minute. Yeah. So this is getting quite interesting. Let's go over to UFO Twitter and see what's happening over there right now. And let's see here. I'm not seeing, well, there's one video that we've seen so far. But this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Here's a new video that we haven't seen.
Let's look at that.
This looks like it's taken it's at the beach once again, and there's 4 lights in a rectangle that have now gone to 3, now down to 2. And once again, for our radio audience, this is happening right now in San Diego, California at this time and of the evening. And here we are. There's literally, people all over who are watching this, some not even paying attention. There's a lot of people out there who are watching these lights that are hovering over the ocean. This is just incredible here.
Right. And absolutely, there's members of our chat audience here, and their opinion seems to be mixed with everything from, this is probably a drug bust that we're seeing out in the ocean, to flares. And then there's a lot of people that are not sure, and there's some question marks. And I'm kind of there too, only because, like you're saying, there are so many observations of this. It's not in just one area where potentially a drug bust could be taking place or a flare drop took place. This is in multiple locations.
Watch this. This feed has been, sorry, Tim, this feed has been sped up a little bit. Okay, watch the lights. They are moving. They're heading, and there's a cluster. Then it goes to 3, then it goes to 6, then back to 3, then off, and then 2, then 4, then 2 again, then none, and then 2 again, then 3, 4, 4. Okay, that's just on repeat. That's what that is. That's on.
I mean,
repeat.
could that be a drug bust where they're lighting up something with lights over the ocean? If that was flare drops, could they be like dropping in a location on purpose with a bunch of flares to try and light a location?
No idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a possibility, right? Very compelling that so many people reported it, though. Again, because wouldn't you expect people that live in this area to be kind of used to flare drops and drug busts and things like that taking place on their coast? I mean, when I lived in Maui, I lived on the coast. When I lived in Kona in Hawaii, I lived on the coast, and I was familiar with things that took place. I wouldn't have filmed something that I was familiar with, right? And so I'm thinking that what we're seeing here is something unfamiliar to the people that live in this area.
Right. And the big debate is it flares? Is it not? We're looking at a video right now that has an orb in the sky, what looks to be a single orb in the sky. And then all of a sudden it like flares up and puts a light streak in the water, much like the moon would. But I mean, on the flip side, let's be realistic. This could be an airplane. This could be a helicopter that just turned towards the water. I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know.
It could be a mothership beaming down,
Dropping
you know,
aliens.
and absorbing salt water, dropping off aliens.
Here's another view from Sylvester Ramirez.
Right. Boy, they sure do seem to just be suspended there, don't they? And that's a
They do.
perfect triangle of lights flashing kind of in unison there. I'm assuming the red flashing light at the bottom is a tower, like a cell
that
phone
would
tower.
be a cell phone tower or something.
Mhm.
But look how it goes from a
very compelling.
triangle to a square. So this is weird because you have a triangle that's formed. Then another light will go up top to make it look like a square. Then the light right below that goes off to make it into a triangle again.
Very interesting.
That is not flares, people. That is not flares. This is
Very
incredible.
interesting.
Once again, if you're just tuning into us wondering what the hell we're talking about, in San Diego, California tonight, there is what looks to be a bunch of different UFOs or sets of lights hovering over the ocean and the city. And we're finding a lot of this information coming out on Twitter, one of the best resources when it comes to immediate understanding of what's going on. Hey, there's our man, YJ Overlander, in our chat room right now. It's not flares, hashtag UFO Twitter. There you go. We'll give you a shout out there. But
That's right.
this is incredible right now. Absolutely incredible. And on that note, we're going to keep track of this. We'll have more on this story. Tim, we're going to need you to come in tomorrow night, give us an update on this, even though it's your night off. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. That caught me off guard, dude. That ending?
Big stuff.
Dirty Filth, where's the cartoon?
I had to put it away for a sec because cats are being jerks.
Oh,
Jerk
were they
cats.
trying to attack your art?
No, they're just being rowdy.
Oh.
That's
What jerks? Now I got a mosquito buzzing me here. Mother of pearl. Hey, thank you, Simon. Simon. Sign off. I don't know whether we should.
That's weird stuff, Dave.
Hold on a second here.
We do have some connections we could call real quick.
Hold on. My connection just got back to me.
I think I know who you contacted.
Yeah.
Were the initials JB?
No.
Oh, okay.
For you, they'd be TD.
Okay. Gotcha.
JB. I got to think who JB is. Hey,
You
River
put
Dog.
me on.
What's that?
He's your friend.
Obviously, I'm having a real big brain meltdown right now, but holy
No
cow.
worries. That's cool. That's cool. I am curious, though, if this is legit or not. I'm
Well-
waiting on a few texts back, but we'll see.
Well, let's
I have somebody with actual eyes on the skies right now, and they're just not getting back.
just keep it going for a little bit here, because if I'm just going to quickly edit the show here, and
Right.
but we'll keep this feed going for a little bit here because this is kind of important, and this is what we do.
Did you say DA?
DA?
Yeah.
No, I told you. You're probably calling TD.
Oh, no. But I was considering. Yeah. There's a couple.
Hey, Mike Bothwell, first time tuning into the show. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Good to have you here. Okay, let's go back to UFO Twitter here. Or UFO San Diego. Oh, that W. Here's another angle from the W. Oh, no, we've seen this angle. Sorry, that was from 2 hours ago. Oh, here's a new video. Hold on. Come on, get on there. Why the hell are you not on there? Oh. That's not what I want. That's what we want right there. Hi, Marlena. How are you?
Okay, I've got a buddy that's got a live stream going. Let's see if I can find it.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
That one totally looks like the one I filmed, Dave. 3 lights in a row, doing that blinky thing.
So bizarre. It is so bizarre. So when did you film that?
That was February 2020. I'll message you the link here.
Awesome. And that was in BC?
It was in Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh, cool.
There's some foul language in it, by the way, so I apologize.
Oh, there always is. There should be. That's how you know it's real.
So there's only about 12 seconds or so of decent video. I kind of zoom in,
Cool.
But yeah, I messaged it on Facebook for you because that's the only place that I know to contact you on. But anyways, back to cartoons. On that video that I sent you, I can give you all the information some other time. Reader's Digest version. It was my mom and her boyfriend and I, and we're in the car and we're sitting there waiting to turn, and they go, "Hey, look at this UFO," and she got all freaked out. She's like, "I don't like this whatsoever." And so what I did is I called my dad first, my actual dad. I was like, "Hey, go out on your front balcony and look north." And he went out there and looked north, and those lights, he's seen them, and the way those lights were traveling, they pivoted on the furthest right light and they went vertical, and they went behind some apartments by his house. And I made a report to Dave. Doesn't like it, but I made a report to Tessa, and that's the only place I've reported to. But yeah, and there was also another video of them on YouTube that I found, and that video, whoever originally took that video since took it down. So unfortunately, that one's not there anymore. And that was video. The second video is taken closer to where I live currently right now. Anyways.
Man, that's crazy. So there were other people that corroborated your sighting.
At least 3 people for sure.
Oh, that's so cool. So how was that feeling to know other people experienced that? Was that like super like vindicating for you when you found out?
I tried to hold the camera straight and I failed miserably. That was my first thing. I was like, I got to make sure I get a good video of this. That was what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. But it was interesting, and I was supposed to get a report back from Ryan, Stacy, Tessa, whatever. But I haven't got that report back from him. But nonetheless, it was pretty interesting because I never expected. I've been to like UFOs and stuff forever, but I never expected to actually film one or anything. So,
right,
it's kind of interesting. But it's really weird because I love my mom to death. I bug her all the time, and I talk to her, and I'll be like, "Hey, Swindlin, remember that UFO?" She's like, "I don't want to talk about it. That just bugs me." And yeah, some people just don't take. Come on, Blob. Some people just don't take it as well as others do, and I think it's just fascinating. And seeing the way these lights are going right now, like that last one with the 3 lights where they kind of blink in sort of unison, and like you were saying, people that live places, they know what the air traffic looks like. There's not much air traffic in Edmonton. I know what all the air ambulance and the police choppers and the one news chopper, and I know what the aircraft look like in Edmonton. There's nothing that looks like that in Edmonton.
Exactly.
At that low, and that you'd have to be there to see where we're sitting and everything. But it was strange, and it was anomalous. I love using that word. So, but
I love that word. Yeah,
that's my only like UFO thing I ever filmed, and I never expected it. And I originally sat there for about a minute because on that street, when you go to make a left-hand turn, it's a bugger. It takes forever to turn there just because the traffic lights are stupid. And I was looking at it, and then eventually went, "Hey, look at that UFO." And then my mom and Brett are like, "Oh yeah, that's really weird." That's when Brett's like, "People are driving and looking at the fucking thing," and people probably weren't paying attention because they're probably staring at their cell phones or something. But it was just, that's what it was. So,
what did you feel? Did you have a gut instinct as to what you were looking at when you were filming it? Or were you pretty sure that it was going to end up being like a helicopter or something? Or were you sure you were seeing something strange as you were filming?
100%, it was something I wasn't used to seeing because of the size of it. Because I've lived in that area my entire life, and I know what helicopters look like and when airplanes fly through there, and they're never that low, and they're never like that. It just.
Oh, your pussycat is beautiful, by the way.
That's the Blob.
The
Hello,
Blob. Sorry to
She
interrupt,
was
but your
no, that's
cat's
fine.
awesome.
She was found half frozen in a hay bale.
Oh, good save. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
Anyways, please continue.
But that was it. I seen it, and I was like I said, when I first started looking at it, I was like, that's not right. And it took me a couple seconds to finally figure it out. I was like, okay, it's definitely not something. And then that's when I was like, hey everybody, check out the UFO. It was almost jokingly I said that. And I've always been into UFOs and junk, and my mom's seen it and Brett's seen it, and then I phoned my dad, and I'm fairly certain my adopted mom seen it as well. So I'm not sure if she did, but I know like my dad's seen it, and he was like, he watched it, and it went across from where he lives, and he did a drawing of it. He's not very good at drawing, excuse me, but he said that the third light on the right hand side, like it pivoted from horizontal to vertical on the far right light before it went behind the building, and that was the last that he seen of it. And of course, I even told him, I was like, you got to get your camera out and film this thing. And he just said he was too blown away by it. And even to this day, I'll mention that, and he just yep, I remember that, and he'll tell the story right to the T, and it never changes. But for the fact that I seen it, my mom's seen it, her boyfriend's seen it, and my dad's seen it, and I think my adopted mom's seen it, that's telling. And then there was that other video that I'd seen on YouTube, which has been taken down. I wish I would have somehow been able to save that.
Yeah. Very quickly, since we're talking about that sighting, do you think that everybody that saw it has the same story, or do you think everyone has a different story and interpretation? And also, I guess the follow-up to that would be, how has it stuck with everyone from then? Do you think they're kind of scared of it? What's their lingering feeling of it, each person, would you say?
Well, definitely me. I just find it interesting because it kind of, like you mentioned earlier, it sort of validates well, I've always been into UFOs and I've never seen one. And as far as I can explain, it was unidentified, it was flying, it was an object. So my mom doesn't like talking about it. Like I mentioned, sometimes I bug her about it. I'm like, hey, Spindlin, how about that UFO? She's like, I don't want to talk about it. Bugs me. She's terrified of it. My mom's a pretty plain person. She goes to the restaurant and it's pepperoni pizza or spaghetti every time, never changes. She doesn't like trying new stuff. That's just how she is. Her boyfriend Brett, he's my good friend too. I've known the guy forever. Good guy. He thinks the same thing. He's like, it's probably aliens, but he gets a little. He's a little more conspiratorial. He's like, that was just before it was just before all the lockdowns happened, we'll say. And he's like, maybe they were spraying something. I'm like, yeah, okay, Brett, don't hurt yourself too bad. And my dad, my adopted dad, he's like, you know what? I've always believed in this. And he even mentioned he used to live in Sarnia in Ontario. Settle down, Blob. He lived in Sarnia in Ontario, and he said he's seen some strange lights he couldn't explain, and then to see this, he's like, kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess the only person that had an adverse effect was my mom, and
Right.
everybody else is kind of interested in it. I've always been interested, and I think it's kind of cool. And just to see those lights again in the same kind of pattern, really. Anyways,
yeah, triggers you a little bit, right? I mean, and I'm sure for people that lived through the Phoenix Lights, this has to be somewhat reminiscent, even if it ends up being mundane, just, flares, because they tried to cross that sighting off that was massive as flares. So must have been incredibly frustrating for the people that lived through that, I imagine there's an element of PTSD, even though it's still far away. You're probably, kind of having your paradigm kicked in. I mean, I've had that happen. And so that's kind of hard to swallow, that stuff, sometimes when you're smacked in the face with something. But there's definitely a takeaway from all of this. And like, let's just, get hypothetical for a moment and just say that this was ET in, again, kind of showing itself in a massive way over a major city. I mean, that would mean that that's a definite message. And, I know we have 200 people here in the chat audience, and Dave has taken a moment, but I was actually, coincidentally, I was reporting tonight on sightings that take place on the same coastline, just off the coast of San Diego. Jeremy Corbell reported on multiple sightings taking place over multiple weeks with like hundreds of objects. And they came out with the report and all of the documentation from the Navy saying that it was just all drone incursions. But here we are. There's no way that they have photographs of 100 drones. No, none of the evidence shows that. But Corbell and his crew and the witnesses number in almost 20 witnesses coming out with corroborating stories that these were 100 or so objects in the sky. And so the footage that they were capturing were of the drones that were inspecting these other objects. So no one was ever saying there weren't drones in the sky. And so, Jeremy Corbell is doubling down, if you will, on his release. And so, it's pretty synchronistic that that is the top story of the night, on the same night that we have these new lights in San Diego off the coast, in the same place as where I'm reporting. So
It's just
the numbers
chatting
line
with
up.
a couple people right now here, Tim. Sorry for cutting
Great.
you off.
No, you're not, buddy.
Get
It's your
someone
show.
on with us here momentarily who might be in San Diego.
Excellent.
So just bear with me, guys. I'm just going to make a quick screen move here because I need to start editing. So let's just go like this. Like this. Okay, the guy's messaged me back.
Hey, thanks for sharing that story with all of us, Dirty Filth. That was a lot of fun, buddy. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's my only UFO story that I can conclusively say was UFOs.
It's amazing.
Or at
and
least
your whole family.
something. Yeah, I got 3 other people on top of it, so.
Okay, that guy can't make it.
Thanks for the shout out, Dogface Boy. Appreciate the shout out.
Just give me 2 seconds here, guys.
Yeah.
Now, one person I did talk to believes that this happens a couple times a year in San Diego where it is flares.
Right. Such as back in 2018 on August 30th, which I know definitely came back as flares. I looked into it. Somebody in your chat had mentioned it, and I looked it up. Definitely it happens out there. The question is, does the video match up?
This is one of the videos that trips me out here.
It's tough.
Was that a light on the left-hand side of the screen that zipped by?
Good question.
Still got 211 watching right now.
Yeah, the story is cool. This could potentially break into something bigger. And you know what? The bigger story would be the cover up. If they had scuttled F-16s or something out there and then deployed flares in an attempt to dissuade the public from thinking and seeing what they were actually seeing and trying to mask and whitewash the story as they do, that would be the big picture here, because that would mean that they knew about it potentially.
Well, let's remember too that the San Diego area is a very, very militarized area. Just north of it, you have MCAS El Toro, the big Marine Corps air base.
Yeah.
We have a lot of interesting, naval bases in San Diego.
Right.
You have Miramar, just east of San Diego. I mean, we got a lot of military around there.
Yep. And obviously a lot of border security, drug interaction, a lot of that sort of thing taking place. We did see that one time-lapse video where it did seem to appear that the lights were being dropped in repetition in one specific area. I thought that was a really great video that somebody kind of released. But again, that does not in any way mean that release of flares wasn't a distraction from something else. And let's take into consideration how many different drops there were.
This one looks to be taken out of Tijuana. We haven't seen this one yet.
2 sets there. Wow. Okay. Greg O'Brien in the chat. What's up, buddy? Terry Hall, how you doing, bud?
Wonder himself.
Yeah, the Scowl Monster. Yeah.
Even though even though Greg O'Brien scowls, it's still the best day ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, all these different angles of the same thing, it's not looking like flares.
And so many different locations, I think, is huge, because why would they drop flares in so many locations? I don't understand that. Yeah, and are these lights in particular falling at all? Because it sure doesn't seem like they're moving. They seem static.
This has turned into a Sasquatch film here.
Oh, right.
Even though we got the lights in the sky, let's move the camera.
Yeah, tripod people. Come on.
It's hard, Dave. It's hard. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
Hey, Dry Toast, the gorgeous Marlena, how are you? Lowlands Pete.
Yeah, Dizzy Me, you're right. I think it was about an hour and a half ago or so. I think you're right. But it's still going. Is that right, Dave? Now, do you still have eyes on the sky down there?
I don't know if it's still going or we're just seeing the residual videos starting to hit Twitter as we speak.
Yeah, my guy SML just uploaded one video, but he was live for a moment.
Let's see here. ABC News 10 has now covered the story. Let's tweet them. Is this still going on? Covering this from Canada.
There's great film footage of two really clear sets of lights and then something on the coastline. If you have SML, 46-minute old video of the UFO San Diego, June 27th from Coronado Beach. Pretty good video there if anyone's looking. Definitely a very clear video. On YouTube.
Let's see what else we got here. Hopefully somebody responds. Okay, we've seen that one. We've seen the car one. We've seen that one. What's this one? I think we've seen that one.
Pretty incredible, though, that San Diego is joining the ranks, of being a hotspot. I guess I didn't realize they were coming in so close on the coastline if this is UAP. Do you find it interesting that they're hovering so close to the city at this point? I mean, if this was UAP, what do you think the message would be, Dave?
Well, what's surprising me is that the incident is either already over and we're just getting the residual videos from it, from the eyewitnesses on social media, because here's a couple things we haven't seen tonight. We haven't seen military aircraft going near these. We've seen what looks to be helicopters flying by, but here's the other thing. Okay, there's the one video that we did see where there was airliners still taking off from San Diego Airport while there was lights going off in the background. And if there was some sort of threat going on, why would they still be launching aircraft into the sky?
Exactly.
So that's something we need to look at too here, guys.
Terry.
Hey, Tony Harris, how you doing? Well, give me a couple of seconds here, YJ. So I got to get this show edited. All right, that was an interesting video. Let's see, did they respond? No, they haven't responded yet. I haven't responded yet. Hopefully they will. Let's go back to where we were. And let's go see new tweets. Okay, we've seen that one. Oh, here's a new one. That looks like a craft that might be... Oh, that's... What'd be really cool is if we could get a video from the sky, man.
Yeah, from one of those planes that appear to be flying right there.
Yeah. And bear with me here 2 seconds, guys, because I have to get this stuff done.
Dave, I definitely got to hit the sack, man.
All right. Good night, Dirty Filth.
Good night,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Good night, Tim. Thanks,
Good
everybody,
night,
for
buddy.
hanging out.
We'll see you
I shall
soon.
see you gentlemen in the future.
It's only a 16-minute video or
Say
16.
goodbye to your cats for us.
I will. Blob is going to pile right on top of me in about 2 minutes.
Aw,
Have a good night, man.
that's cute. Have a good night.
I wanna- Find that link.
Hey, Dizzy, Greg O'Brien's in Florida. If you're trying to reach out.
All right, let's find something else here.
Oh, right. Tom's in Florida. Sorry, Greg. I've been up all night. Sorry. Yeah, you're up north.
Hey, YJ, if you're still here, could you send me that link on Twitter? If you don't mind. I'd appreciate that.
How's your speech coming, Dave?
Half done, man.
Half done. Awesome. I had visions of you winging it.
Oh, I wing it. I just need to get the whatchamacallit's done.
The PowerPoint.
Yeah. Thanks, YJ. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Thomas Fessler hopping on in, sitting in the sidelines, hanging on out.
As
His
Dave
hair
edits.
pretty. Would you
Yeah.
look at that?
What a guy.
You know what? Thomas Fessler is such a good dude and so just chill and relax. If he went on Wheel of Fortune, he'd be the guy who doesn't clap for himself after spinning the wheel.
That's right. You nailed him. That's exactly right.
He'd be like, oh, 1,500 for an N? And there's 4 of them, Pat? Well, would you look at that?
Would you look at that? Just look at it. Just look at it. So, are you getting a live update from San Diego potentially, or is that not happening?
I'm trying to get a hold of this lady here. Does she have any contact information? No, she doesn't. Weird. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Oh, that's an interesting picture from Tijuana.
Wow.
Okay, bear with me here.
That's why are there so many locations?
Telling you, man, I'm still going by my theory that why now is the phone call was answered.
I mean, that's if it if it is UAP, it's pretty blatant. I mean, you can't deny that. Over San Diego, come on.
That's an incredible photo.
Dizzy, I don't know what that is. I'll have to take a good look at it. Thanks for the sighting. I'll take a good look at it and get back to you. Awesome.
What is this video? Have we seen this one yet? I don't think we've seen this one yet.
Yeah.
That would be from Cuba, because that's the border right there, all lit up.
Right. I mean, doesn't appear that these are falling, right? And they're only elevated and suspended for a minute, and all these videos are longer than that, and they don't seem to be dropping, or if they do, it's very slow. And I don't see them landing or burning out. Also, have you seen any of that?
No, when you see one die, another one appears.
Right. I'm curious if Thomas Fessler has an opinion. He's usually an expert on this stuff.
Thomas, do you want to come in?
Hop in, buddy.
I'll send Thomas a link on Facebook Messenger here.
Cool.
So that's from the Tijuana side.
Oh, wow.
Now, obviously, that white triangle right there is nothing. That's just reflection. This is the one we're looking at right here.
And what's just below and to the right?
That's probably the border or Tijuana or the city, something.
Okay, I get it. I see the perspective now. Okay. Wow. I mean,
look at that.
Just look at it. It's Phoenix Lights all over again. That looks like two separate, what? Craft, potentially. If those were triangles, that would be... Yeah, and then they do that pulsing thing. Do you think that is just bokeh? Like lens flare?
I think it's too many camera angles to be bokeh, man.
Right. Yes. And then that just went out. All at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's odd. Do flares typically go out all at the same time?
Let's watch this one again.
Fessler says flares. He's pretty solid with it. He would say more, but he just says flares. Bokeh and flares. And Greg O'Brien agrees. We're looking at flares.
I disagree.
My
Just the way
favorite-
those top ones lit up. Yeah, but they could be flickering, Thomas. They could be flickering due to the heat as well, and the heat rising from the ground.
And your chat is throwing Monty Python Holy Grail quotes in there. There are some who call me Tim. That's an easy one. Yeah, they seem pretty static to be flares. But again, if they parachutes an upwind, potentially. And a lot of these videos are slowed down. Is that right, or are they all at normal speed?
This is still the one that trips me out.
Yeah, that is my favorite one.
Because right here, pretty soon you're going to watch the jet take off. Because that all up right here is the San Diego airport.
When they flash in unison, I think that's what kind of throws me off. But yeah, you see the cop car in the foreground down in the city.
1 second here, I just got to
so weird.
Pause the video so that way we don't lose our spot. All right, there we go. That one's done.
Yeah, the Phoenix Lights event took place March 13th in 1997. That's something else.
Let's see what's different on UFO Twitter.
Fessler's asking, why would UAP remain stationary? Good question.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, with the Phoenix Lights, those moved across the sky, right? They actually flew over the city, right? So, yeah. These wouldn't be exactly like the Phoenix Lights. Good point, Thomas. Yeah, why would they remain stationary? Yeah. Why would flares? Good question. Yeah, and I keep kind of coming back to the fact that the people that are reporting these and uploading these videos aren't a stranger to looking up in the skies out there, right? And so even if flares are dropped, 3 or 4 times a year, I feel like they would be used to seeing how they operate. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't be reporting it as something odd. Do you feel like they would still get reported even if they were flares, Dave? Or do you think that people would be like, hey, these are flares in the report?
This is a Marine what he filmed. That
Did he
looks
have
like
an opinion? Yeah, that's on a runway. That's a runway right there for sure.
trying to figure out what kind.
That's probably from San Diego International Airport.
I don't know.
You see the runway lights right there, the blue runway lights. Yeah. Very interesting.
That's awfully high off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get the official report tomorrow.
Yeah, so were these being spotted for an hour and a half from the first to the last report?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I can concentrate now because I'm done the downloading. Woo!
Sweet.
My job is done for the night.
Yay, buddy. Well,
Hey,
anytime you want to call it, I'm fine with that. I could use sleep.
Morning, Justin Maynard.
Hey, Justin. Yeah.
See what's going on here.
Yes, this is live, Justin. You are talking to us. Interactive SOR.
Let's go. Let's go. Seems to have slowed down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I hope more people come forward with their videos as the next 24 hours unfold, because I would like to at least get more confirmation if we're going to let this go at flares.
That's a cool picture.
That is a beauty. Really good lens.
The question is, what are these now?
That's a great. Can you zoom in on that a little?
You know what? I'm going to hold on,
because that's a pretty crispy photo.
UFOSD. Hold on 1 second here. Oh, for fuck's sakes. God, I hate my photo stuff on my computer.
I love that car, by the way. The SOR race car is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so where are we going here? Look at the triangle in behind it.
I mean, that is just... Could be bokeh. It could be actual other objects. That's a good photo. No wonder people were wondering what it is. Now, are we looking at flares there? Is that what flares look like with a good lens? I'm not seeing necessarily a parachute, but wouldn't we see a parachute and more smoke?
A damn coaster fell on the ground.
That's a beautiful photo. And it's time lapse as well. They time lapsed this photo, so they left the iris open for a little while. You can tell by the blurring of the traffic.
Definitely.
But that also tells me that those lights were suspended, right? Because we would see a trail like you're seeing in the traffic. So those lights were suspended long enough.
Lowland Street. The point of a flare is to light up the sky. These don't seem to be doing that.
Right. And why would it be over this location if they were flares trying to light something up?
No idea.
Interesting. Very interesting. It looks like the beginning of Close Encounters to me, the Steven Spielberg film. They have smokeless flares, do they, Greg? Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So it's not bokeh because it would take shape of the aperture. Thanks for that, YJ. And they're glowing. Okay, not emitting massive. You got such a great chat. I mean, really great chat, you guys.
Discuss and debate things here.
It's fantastic.
Each other's nipples and trying to rip them off.
Joshua 420, I'm hearing you, buddy. It does feel like that, doesn't it? Sometimes they're really making themselves well known. If this is UAP UFO, whew, man, that is so well put. What do they have to do to get us to look up? And I mean, you even just covered a story that was like, them really trying to show themselves off with the satellite, right? I love that story, Dave. I can't wait to get more details on the satellite that was taken out of our solar system and brought back with new data on its drives in 2 hours, within 2 hours span. That's amazing.
The guy who, sorry for cutting you off here for a second.
No, please.
The guy who did this video here, the Marine, just reading the comments, and thank you to Neon Death Pixie for pointing me in the direction here. Okay, so this is what he said. They were static, and flares pop out of the planes to the sides and have many flares, not just one at a time. And then he goes on, hasn't heard if there are flares or not. It's not a restricted airspace, so they can't shoot them down. Excuse me. So it's kind of interesting, the comments.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an interaction there, some sort of observation. If this is UAP, I mean, why else would they choose this location to show up? Yeah, I mean, it could be disinformation. It could be a cover up for something else. It could be the Air Force coming out and trying to cover up a real UFO event. We've seen that before in Phoenix, right? And so who knows which part of this story is real and which isn't, and what we'll get as a story. But definitely covering something live like this, Dave, is really great. And it gives your chance, your audience a chance to kind of be involved a little bit too in trying to break down video that we're all kind of scratching our heads over. I love the fact that it seems like we're all very divided down the middle. There are some people that are pretty sure what you're seeing here is mundane and just, practice another event, just like San Diego saw back in 2018 when they had another demonstration just like this of flares. We'll have to look at some video and do some side-by-side comparison to that 2018 event to see if this does look like that. But I can tell you, just by seeing what we're seeing in the chat here, it could go the other way, and that we find that, some of these flares, some of these orange orbs were actually working in conjunction with each other and going up. Because some of the video seems like it's not just going down, but going up. Some of the ocean level video that we saw appeared like they just hovered and some went up and some went down. A little bit hard to determine at this point, but like you're saying, it's imperative to cover this stuff live if you have the opportunity. It's too bad we couldn't get some eyes on the sky live from down in San Diego. I got no responses from the 3 people I tried to bring on. So they're probably already moved on from this story.
This guy here says it's still happening, going on about an hour now. Multiple floating lights over the ocean, very still, very bright, orange, reddish light patterns of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Flares don't go for an hour.
Yeah.
Check on
I would like to see a flare video somewhere that shows that this is how they operate. If this is what we're looking at as flares, show me other video. that looks like flares like this. Great point, 420. And I'll tell you, I am kind of baffled that News 8 out of San Diego is so quick to come out with an explanation on this, unless, they do obviously contact airport and military to get a report on something like this at the time. But the fact that News 8 was so willing to take that first report from potentially wherever their source is, without questioning it, makes me kind of question what their source's motives were, if this was truly UFO, right? But if we do find out it's flares, then absolutely the first gut reaction from News 8 was the right one. And so we'll have to wait and see for the full story, just like you were saying, Dave. But thank you for inviting me on tonight and making me a part of this live event with you, because my news can definitely wait until another night when something this incredible takes place.
If we have anything breaking tomorrow, we will bring you back on for a quick report on this.
Okay.
It's that important. So if you're good with that, because I know you'll be all up to date on this.
Yeah.
For tomorrow.
Yeah. And my contacts in San Diego will probably give me replies to my chats or to my my texts here that I sent. And so I'll definitely have something. Hopefully we don't get the simple answer here. We get the real answer.
If you're in the southwestern California area, do us a favor. Put your tinfoil on just in case we got aliens, people. Okay? Just in case. You never go wrong. It may be flares, but you never go wrong with a little aliens, okay? And just make sure that tinfoil's on nice and tight. But we're going to call it the night here because I have to get up early with my boy and get him. He's only got 2 days of school left. So I'm pretty proud of the little guy finishing up grade 3, getting ready for grade 4. And Tim, great work tonight as per usual.
Lots of fun, Dave. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Had a great time with your chat tonight.
Well, we're going to continue on with this, and we're going to have to figure out what's going on here, man.
Yeah,
we got to figure
get to
it
the
out.
bottom of it. We will.
All right, Tim, you stick around for 2 seconds.
Okay.
And we'll say goodnight to everybody here.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.